Constitution to end a pregnancy established in the court's landmark 1973 Roe v. Wade decision. The abortion providers who challenged the law said it was medically unnecessary and specifically intended to shut down clinics. Texas officials said it was intended to protect women's health. The ruling means similar laws in other states are probably unconstitutional and could put in jeopardy other types of abortion restrictions enacted in various conservative states. Jennifer Dalvin, a lawyer for the American Civil Liberties Union, said the decision should send a loud signal to politicians that they can no longer hide behind sham rationales to shut down clinics and prevent a woman who has decided to end a pregnancy from getting the care she needs. Writing for the court, liberal Justice Stephen Breyer said, "We conclude that neither of these provisions offer medical benefits sufficient to justify the burdens upon access that each imposes." This has been FPP Radio News, online at fppradio.com.
A new report released this week has found that nearly 3/4 of sleepaway campers' parents are currently using their children's time away from home to take the first steps towards filing for divorce.
With 46% of campers' moms currently staying with their sisters while they try to figure it out, and 38% of campers' dads sleeping on the living room couch and staring at the ceiling for hours before falling asleep.
Most campers are, at this precise moment, wholly unaware that their fathers are looking for temporary sublets and are experiencing a level of carefree, joyful buoyancy that experts say they will never feel again.
The majority of campers currently have, on average, 16 days until their lives come crashing down around them, at which point their parents will pick them up from camp, drive them to a restaurant, and then break the news that while they'll always be a family, they won't be living together anymore.
I love camp this year. It's so much fun. Mom sent me so many care packages. Dad even sent one. It's awesome.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
It's Free Talk Live, and we invite you to join us here. The toll-free number, Skype username will be available to you. We'll share those with you here in moments. And, of course, you can join us online anytime you want. Just go over to freetalklive.com. Get interactive there. Lots of interesting news to discuss here tonight. Coming up, Johnson, you've got a story from Psychology Blog.
The Sci Blog. It's my favorite new prep source. It really is.
And it's about what?
It is about improving your life through psychological distance. I don't want to necessarily explain what it is because I think people like, being surprised by this sort of concept. It's sort of interesting.
I'd like to know a little bit more about that as well.
Actually, this wouldn't surprise me if this is something that you already do, that you personally and already do in your own life on many occasions.
So you can join us here. Our toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. Interesting story about 4chan is in the news. Johnson, I don't know if you heard about this one. You're kind of in the technology world to some extent. Heat Street, heatst.com, reporting that the Brexit second referendum petition is a 4chan prank. And the BBC,
how does that work? Wow.
The BBC has reported it as real. So for those who don't know, recently the folks over in Great Britain voted. The majority of the voters voted to leave the European Union.
Right.
And I was seeing headlines after that there was a 2 million signature petition that is demanding a second vote, a revote on this.
And that petition is fake?
Apparently, that was 4chan that did this. The story from Heat Street, the 4chan bots represent the ultimate failure of the Remain stream media. The BBC's desperate shilling for Remain, which is, again, the choice between remaining in the EU and leaving, will come under increasing scrutiny as we exclusively reveal the supposed popular petition for a second referendum, wholly illegal and unworkable and unprecedented in British history, is a prank by notorious S-posters 4chan. The BBC, the UK's national broadcaster, gleefully reported as real, with no basic journalistic checks, that an online petition that appeared to be growing at a colossal rate. By 1:30 p.m., it was one of the fastest-growing petitions in history. So fast that, in fact, somebody should have checked for bots and scripts. The BBC is failing totally in its charter duty to perform basic journalistic research.
Isn't that pretty much every journalistic organization now?
And so then they actually show a screenshot of the alleged petition script that someone wrote to create a little bit of fraud on this petition. Heat Street can exclusively bring our readers proof that the spamming of the petition is a magnificent 4chan prank that the Chads and Stacys of the BBC and liberal media swallowed whole.
They really just call them Chads and Stacys.
Heat Street does the basic journalistic work that the BBC failed to do. They then link to 4chan, where they boast about their work on the petition. So, the evidence is right there. Almost 50,000 signatures from Vatican City. This is an excerpt from 4chan here. They'll look at the IPs and wonder how the F people from North Korea and the Vatican are voting. Another one says, blah, blah, blah. There's talking crap here because they are pretty vulgar on 4chan, so there's a lot of this that I can't say. So apparently this organization, Heat Street, went to 4chan, found evidence here, showing that there's clearly, fraud going on this particular petition.
Right.
We can post screenshots of the code 4chan and Anonymous are using to hack Parliament's petition. Why couldn't the BBC or Parliament's IT services Google this thing themselves? It was not as suggested. People from outside of the UK.
What is a Google? What are you referring to? I don't know. What was you're talking about this internet thing. I didn't know. We were just trying to report on it.
Let's see. It was not, as suggested, people from outside of the UK signing. It was simple hacker scripts. By Sunday afternoon in the UK, the national broadcaster deigned to report that Parliament was investigating the petition for fraud. Other liberal media scions also pounced on the petition. But 4chan's posters had set up scripts and bots to add fake names to the petition at an impossible rate, spamming it with unlikely addresses in Ghana and elsewhere.
It's really quite a hell of a thing, isn't it?
The BBC seemed unwilling to let it go, though. BBC still
just going to continue reporting on it as those.
Well, they want, they're the government's official arm, and the government, all of the parties. Well, I was reading earlier today.
There's also a huge contingent of, I think, the ultra liberal folks over there in Great Britain who are just crying out in agony over this decision.
Well, it's all of the statists. It's not just liberals. Every party in the UK, except for, I believe, the UK Independence Party. I was reading this today. Every single one of those parties advocated for staying in the European Union. That's right.
Really? That's really interesting. Yeah. So that, suddenly the people came out of the woodworks who are not part of any of the major political parties?
Correct.
That's huge.
Since the media were too stupid to see that these were not signatures from outside of the UK, but in fact simply bot scripts, 4chan and Gamergate hero Sargon of Akkad helpfully posted shots of the spam scripts results on Twitter. Nice to see 13,000 French are petitioning the British government to have a referendum. And then links to photographic the alleged proof of that.
Or as they say in France, un referendum.
From the mainstream media outside the BBC were blushingly reporting the petition may have been manipulated without acknowledging that 4chan and Anonymous had been online for 24 hours boasting about their prank. One quote, 23,788 people from North Korea, one of the world's least internet-connected countries, have also signed the petition. Tech sites, unlike the news media in the supine UK, have seen 4chan break an online petition before. Remember when they took over the Time 100?
The North Korean petition was a slightly different version. It was the greatest petition for the People's Republic of North Korea.
Or Dear Leader.
Or Dear Leader. Greatest Dear Leader petition to keep UK in European Union.
So then they go on. They show you some screen grabs from a program called the Mooter from 4chan and Anonymous that was used to easily flood Parliament's petition with fakes. So there you go. BBC News reporting on a 4chan petition fraud, basically. Right. And acting as though it was completely legal. So it's interesting watching the Brexit situation and, finding out how long is this thing going to take. We still don't even know. It could be several months. It could be another year before they're actually leaving. And in the meantime, I suspect that these people who support the European Union are going to try to pull out whatever stops they can to stay in. But why leave the European Union? We did talk about some of the regulations that were crushing the folks over in the UK and elsewhere. And there's an interesting story that both you and I had here tonight, Johnson, about digital cameras and why this has to do, why the 30-minute recording limit for video on digital cameras, like, so mostly these cameras are used for taking pictures, but they have a video option.
I think, like, primarily what we're talking about here is the digital SLR cameras, things that you're going to see, like, your high-end photographers and also well-armed hobbyists are going to have with their cameras. What do they call that? Not professional, but they call it like prosumer. But they also, there's another thing like amateur, like something amateur, but it's not quite amateur, but it's like the level above.
I've not
just
heard
above
that
amateur, but below professional.
That's not prosumer?
Well, no, that's prosumer if you're talking about the market.
Okay.
But if you're talking about what the person actually is in terms of their level of hobby, there's a term for it, and I can't remember what it is.
Well, if you know it, you can call in toll-free here, 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733.
It's like modified. It's something amateur, high level or whatever. But
Michael Yon over at Breitbart is reporting on the British and others have a real basis for wishing to leave the EU and its nonsensical bureaucrats. This post explains a trivial matter by comparison, but by scaling up this example, it becomes easier to understand their anger and frustration. My Canon digital SLR cameras shoot video that is often of sufficient quality to use in major motion pictures. The quality is extremely high. Many filmmakers use the Canon Mark III 5D. In fact, the Bo Davis from the 101 Reasons film used still cameras video feature to shoot all of his interviews for that movie. You can see it at 101reasonsfilm.com. They really look great. So why the restrictions? Blame the EU. We'll tell you more coming up, and you can join us on Free Talk Live.
Every once in a while, you get information that's worth changing your life for. This is one such time. You can save up to and beyond 25% on all purchases at Amazon. You probably heard of Bitcoin and just not thought much about it. You certainly know that you can get competitive pricing at Amazon, but now you can get a 25% discount on nearly everything you need to live. I've just given you a huge raise, and all you have to do is claim it. You go to saveitpurse.com and open an account. Do this right now. Don't wait. Then you fund the account with Bitcoin. You can buy them through expresscoin.com with a check or money order. There are other ways to get Bitcoin, but that's fast, safe, and easy. This information is worth you changing the way you do things. Go to saveitpurse.com right now, get signed up, and cash in on the huge raise I'm offering you. 15 to 25% off of everything at Amazon through saveitpurse.com. It's saveatpurse.com.
This is a healthcare alert from the Pain Relief Hotline. If you, a family member, or a loved one suffers from knee, back, shoulder, or ankle pain and have Medicare as your primary insurance, we've got great news. You don't have to suffer any longer. You can immediately qualify for a pain-relieving brace at little or no cost to you by calling our 24/7 Pain Relief Hotline at 866-389-0620. Delivery is free and all paperwork is handled for you. If you are on Medicare and have knee, back, shoulder, or ankle pain, don't wait. You can qualify to immediately receive a pain-relieving brace at little or no cost by calling our 24/7 Pain Hotline now at 866-389-0620. Our representatives are standing by 24/7 to take your call and rush you your pain-relieving brace at little or no cost to you. Shipping is free and all paperwork is handled for you. Just call 866-389-0620. That's 866-389-0620. Again, 866-389-0620.
Understanding your credit score is the first step towards managing and improving it. This is Charlie Sundstrom with your Van Dyke Mortgage Minute. The most influential component of your credit score is your payment history. Almost equally as important is the amount you owe on credit accounts. Also impacting your score, but to a lesser degree, are the length of time you've utilized your credit, the number of new accounts, credit inquiries, and your various types of credit accounts. To help achieve or maintain a healthy credit score, have a system set up to assure your bills are always paid on time. Don't max out your cards. It's better to have a high credit limit with a low balance. Never close old accounts. The age of these can actually help your credit score. But don't be afraid to use your credit. You need several accounts in order to have a credit score. Just keep the corresponding payments within your means. For your mortgage pre-approval and refi needs, start by visiting VanDykeMortgage.com.
Corporate NMLS 3035. Van Dyke Mortgage is an equal housing lender. Charlie Sundstrom, NMLS 134251.
LRN.FM is proud to announce our official listening apps for Android and iOS devices. Now you can easily tune into our streams anywhere, anytime on your smartphone or tablet. Just visit apps.lrn.fm or search for LRN.FM in the Android or Apple app stores. Please download, rate us 5 stars, then share the link on your social media, and let your friends and family know how you're listening to LRN.FM. Download it now, free, at apps.lrn.fm.
This is your Roberts & Roberts Brokerage Daily Precious Metals Update. In early trading Tuesday, gold is $10 lower at $1,315 per ounce, and silver is even at $17.82 per ounce. Bitcoin is currently trading at $645 US. Roberts & Roberts Brokerage has been helping clients buying and selling precious metals for nearly 40 years. For more information, give us a call at 800-874-9760 or visit us online at rrbi.co.
You can connect with the Liberty Radio Network via our Facebook page at facebook.lrn.fm. That's facebook.lrn.fm.
It's Free Talk Live, and you can join us toll-free here at 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. We do have Skype, so you may Skype into the show at Skype username LRN.FM. If you want to reach people with the ideas of liberty, you can do it from the back of your car with libertystickers.com. You can reach thousands of people with a bumper sticker, and you know that people love to read them, so check out the vast selection of witty, poignant, pithy, and downright bombastic, liberty-oriented messages at libertystickers.com. We'll tell you more about the EU regulations that have resulted in your digital camera having a 30-minute video recording limit. Why is that?
The EU regulations.
And then there's more about the EU and the Brexit. Plus, coming up, Johnson, you'll be telling us about psychological distance. What is it? I have no idea. But we'll find out here in moments. Let's go first, though, to Robert in Nevada. You're on Free Talk Live. Hello, Robert.
Hey, Ian. How you doing?
Hey, what's on your mind tonight?
Good. Well, before you got into the main topic about the EU today, I thought there was something that you and the co-host might want to look into.
Mike, welcome to the show, Mike.
Hello?
I'm sorry, joking here. It's not that we don't have a co-host named Mike. We've got Johnson.
No.
Might look to
Mike.
Mike.
I thought
the co-host
Mike
might want to look into.
Okay.
I'll go by Mike.
No, I'm sorry.
I actually wanted to go by the name Mike when I was a kid.
So go ahead.
Well,
I apologize. It's the phone. It's if we had you on Skype, I probably would have understood you.
You look like a Mike. That's fine. Anyway.
You could, yeah. Could be a Mike.
Anyway, before you got into the main topic, there was an update regarding the search and seizure that the FBI did on Playpen, and 4 days ago there was an unsealed document that the EFF made an article about in regards to reasonable search and seizure.
You're referring to the FBI operating a child pornography website that had some sort of an exploit on it that was able to break through the anonymity of Tor and identify over 1,000 IP addresses and other information about some of the users of that site. So EFF revealed a paper. Go ahead.
That's correct. Yeah, I found out about it today on the YouTube show Hack 5. But on the EFF documents, they linked to the actual unsealed documents, and there was a couple of things that you might find interesting about them. Mm-hmm. The EFF cited, and I looked through the document myself. It's very extensive. It reads like a telephone book. They're making tons of excuses as to why it's not reasonable that people should expect privacy if they use Tor. And you might want to look more into this, but two very amusing ones that I found. Basically, what they're saying is because hacking has become widespread over the last few years, it should be expected that your computer will be hacked. Therefore, you do not have a reasonable expectation of privacy using Tor. That was one of the things that I found was amazingly.
Actually, it would be kind of interesting if that argument went through and set a precedent, because then it would mean for hackers that it's open season on all politicians.
You know what? That's the thing. It comes down to whether or not you're a government and you have a gun and a jail. The second thing here, real quick, is because you connect up to Tor, your IP address is shared with that first level node, and therefore it is an unreasonable expectation that your IP would be kept private. In other words, even though the multi-level onion network of Tor, the way that it works, it masks your IP address through different layers via proxy. Since you are sharing your IP address with the first layer of Tor nodes, it is unreasonable. Since you're sharing it, it's unreasonable that you expect to be private because you're sharing it with one of the Tor nodes, which it's ridiculous. Yeah, it's a very long document. Like I said, it's not the main topic for your show today.
No, I actually had something about this in show prep. Just what you're referring to is not that we would have necessarily gotten to it tonight, so I'm glad you called in about it. But what you're referring to is a court decision by a federal district judge in Virginia, a federal district court judge. So this is yet another federal judge. There's been a variety of them who've made decisions in cases that have come up from this FBI running this child pornography website. Some of them have completely booted out the evidence, saying this warrant was illegal. Therefore, all of the evidence gathered to this warrant or because of this warrant was gathered illegally, so therefore you're going to have to throw out these cases. There was another case where a judge ruled that the FBI could keep it secret what their exploit was, but then the case would have to be dismissed. So there's been a variety of rulings from these lower court judges that are in some cases very contradictory, and this is one of the worst rulings, probably the worst ruling of all of them. So there's been a whole span from you have no more privacy in this particular ruling to the warrant was illegal and throw out all the evidence. So it's going to be interesting to see how all this shakes out at an appeals court level.
The very important thing to take away from this, from the EFF document, it says, the implications for the decision, if upheld, are staggering. Law enforcement would be free to remotely search and seize information from your computer without a warrant, without probable cause, or without any suspicion at all. That's essentially what this is tantamount to, because it's creating a legal precedent that you do not have to have any sort of excuse whatsoever to expect privacy on your computer, and therefore the FBI can treat it just like if they were, detaining you on the street and checking your pockets. It's basically the same thing, and if this is not appealed properly and if the decision is held.
Well, they do also say here in their release from the EFF that it's also incorrect as a matter of law, and we expect there's little chance that it will hold up on appeal.
Right.
So this, it's very unlikely this is going to hold up. But
I don't know. A lot of these technology things, though, sometimes are argued really poorly because they just don't know what they're doing.
Well, also maybe they're not argued poorly, but I expect the EFF would be able to argue it well.
Right.
But the judge may not understand it.
What?
Right.
Yeah.
Anyway, well, have a good show.
Thanks for the
Thank you very
update,
much.
Robert. I appreciate hearing from you tonight. I'll continue from the EFF's release on this here. The decision underscores a broader trend in these cases. Courts across the country, faced with unfamiliar technology and unsympathetic defendants, are issuing decisions that threaten everyone's rights. As hundreds of these cases work their way through the federal court system, we'll be keeping a careful eye on these decisions, developing resources to help educate the defense bar, and doing all we can to ensure the Fourth Amendment's protections for our electronic devices aren't eroded further. We'll be writing more about these cases in the upcoming days, too, so be sure to check back for an in-depth look at some of the legal issues and problems with the way the FBI handled its investigations. Courts overseeing these cases have struggled to apply traditional rules of criminal procedure and constitutional law to the technology at issue. Recognizing this, we've been participating as amicus to educate judges on the significant legal issues these cases present. In fact, EFF filed an amicus brief in this very case, arguing that the FBI's investigation ran afoul of the Fourth Amendment. The brief, unfortunately, did not have the intended effect.
You said it twice, and I just realized that, I'd never really understood that word, never really kind of looked it up or figured it out. What is amicus?
An amicus, it's a legal term, a Latin term, amicus curiae. It is friend of the court.
Weird.
So amicus, I presume, is the friend word, and curiae would probably be the court word. Toll-free number here tonight, 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. It's someone who's not a party to the case and offers information that bears on the case. We'll continue. It's Free Talk Live.
Paid non-attorney spokesperson Adam Pulaski of the Pulaski Law Firm with principal office in Houston, Texas is the attorney responsible for the content of this ad. This ad is not legal advice, and the choice of a lawyer should not be based solely upon advertisement. Services may not be available in all states. Attention Xarelto users. If you or a loved one took Xarelto and suffered a serious bleeding event, you may be entitled to financial compensation. Xarelto is a popular prescription blood thinner used to prevent blood clots and protect patients from strokes. These serious bleeding events have led to numerous cases of hospitalization and even death. Phone lines are open 24/7. Call 800-261-0937. That's 800-261-0937.
Hunters, anglers, campers, and survivalists. Get back to nature. Expand your horizons with the highest quality, most versatile, unique slingshots and sling bows on the market at slingbow.com. Slingbow products are compact and models start from just $17.98. They're perfect for your bug-out bag or storing in your vehicle. Give yourself and your loved ones the excitement and tradition of slingbow. A new frontier in archery and truly modern twist on this primitive survival tool. Feel the thrill only at slingbow.com.
The Free State Project has reached its goal of 20,000 liberty lovers who've pledged to move to New Hampshire and get active to achieve liberty in our lifetime. Perhaps you're trying to figure out what part of New Hampshire should be your destination. If so, consider Keene. You'll find more than 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com. Keene is famous for its historic, publicity-generating activism, as well as being the liberty media capital of the world. It's home to freekeene.com, New Hampshire's destination for liberty activism, news, and opinion. For years, we've been compiling over 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com, where you'll learn about some of what's happening here and what makes Keene a great place to live. If you love liberty, you'll probably enjoy anywhere you end up in the Shire. But do your due diligence first. Please visit move.freekeene.com for the full list of over 150 reasons to move to Keene. That's move.freekeene.com.
If you want to move to the Free State and you're looking for some real estate.
Oof, I think we've all had enough of that jingle, don't you? If you're going to invest in property in New Hampshire, it just makes sense to support a liberty-friendly realtor. Call Mark Warden of Team Porcupine Real Estate for investment property or rentals in the Free State. Or visit his website. Come on, you know it.
PorcupineRealEstate.com.
DVD, books, music, instruments, periodicals, computers, software, electronics, photo, cell phone, office products, home and garden, bed and bath, furniture, kitchen, pet supplies, automotive, hardware, apparel, shoes, jewelry, grocery, healthcare, sports and outdoors, toys, games, used, and more. It's a department store at your fingertips. Shop.freetalklive.com. Get all your shopping done, get a great deal, and a portion of your purchase goes to benefit Free Talk Live when you enter Amazon via shop.freetalklive.com.
This is Michael Dean from the Freedom Fiends radio show. I've run websites since 1996 and have used over a dozen web hosts in that time. AgoristHosting.com is the only one that hasn't broken my heart. Agorist Hosting's uptime and service is stellar, and their DDoS mitigation is the best I've seen. That's important because if you tell the truth in this world, you'll ruffle feathers. And some people will try dirty tricks to silence your voice. No matter what the haters hit us with, Agorist Hosting keeps our websites online. If you have a mission-critical commercial presence or a world-changing activism site, you cannot tolerate any tomfoolery. So go with AgoristHosting.com. And if you want to get your foot in the door with decentralized marketplaces, Agorist Hosting is now offering Open Bazaar hosting. Go to agoristhosting.com. Click on the button that says Get Hosted. Agorist Hosting. That's AGORIST hosting.com.
While our satellite channel is free to listen to, it's not free for us. You can help us cover our satellite costs with the chip-in on the right side of the page at lrn.fm.
Talk Live. Dial toll free to join us here, 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. Coming up, Johnson will tell us about psychological distance. What is it? I don't have any idea. We'll find out here, though, in moments. Of course, your calls come first. Your thoughts are welcome about what you want to discuss. You can also hook up with the hottest, newest wallet for Bitcoin, digital currencies, not just Bitcoin. Ether is included in the Jax wallet, as well as DAO tokens. You can get it at jax.io, jaxx.io. It'll allow you to store or to access your cryptocurrencies of choice there, those three of them, which is unusual because most of the wallets out there in the cryptocurrency world are just for Bitcoin. So,
what's a DAO token? I haven't heard of this thing.
Oh, good question. That is kind of a detailed answer, but I'll see if I can encapsulate it as briefly as possible, Johnson. A DAO is a decentralized autonomous organization.
Okay.
The DAO is an idea that is built...
Not D-O-W.
No. This one is built on the Ethereum blockchain, and it is a new concept that allows ownership of basically a company, if you will, that can do business and do things without really knowing who the owners are. Meaning the owners are the people who hold these DAO tokens, which you can purchase with Ether. And then if you have the DAO tokens, you can then vote on proposals within the DAO. So people can make proposals of, I think we should spend this $150 million worth of money, because they raised $150 million worth of investment money from this DAO token thing. I think we should spend it in this way. And then the DAO token people can vote whether they like that idea or not. So it's sort of almost a democratically run decentralized organization.
Didn't something really weird happen in Ethereum recently?
Something bad happened with the DAO thing. Yeah,
and
so it wasn't
they
Ethereum.
Needed people to vote to not
So what happened was the DAO got hacked, basically. Although it wasn't really a hack, what really happened was the hacker just read the rules and found an exploit, found a loophole, if you will, a mistake in their rules, and was able to empty $3 million worth of DAO tokens into his own account. And then the big question was, well, what does the community do about it? Do you just let it go, consider it a teaching moment, and patch the code up?
$3 million teaching moment.
Or, they've done that with Bitcoin, where people have lost a lot of money, and the Bitcoin just rolls on. Sorry. So there's an argument to just keep moving forward. But then there's another argument that, okay, we could hard fork the Ethereum technology, the blockchain, go back in time before this person emptied out the DAO tokens, and restart there and, fix the errors.
Right.
But, there's a large group of people who don't want to do that because they just want to keep moving forward. Look, you messed up. You blew it. You wrote bad code, and somebody figured it out, and they should win from this, and you should fix it next time. So that's the big argument, which side's going to win. And ultimately, with the way these blockchain systems are set up, these new money systems that we've been talking about a lot on Free Talk Live over the years, but I'm sure a lot of our listeners are new to, if a certain percentage of the miners, the people who are doing let's call it the backbreaking work of crunching code to make these systems work without getting into detail, if I think it's 75%, I don't know what the number is for Ethereum, but if a super majority of the miners were to vote for the hard fork concept, then it would reset back into time. The person who emptied out the DAO tokens would no longer have them.
And what happens to all the transactions that happen in the meantime?
They'd be reset, I would think. I don't know. Maybe they can reset just that one transaction.
All the transactions get reset. It's but you already paid for this thing. Physical things.
That's a darn good question, Johnson.
Happen.
I don't have.
The further out this goes, the more physical items and goods may have been.
Yeah, that's a darn good question. I don't know if they can just pull back one thing, or if they have to just go back to a point in time. Maybe it is that they can just pull that one transaction and then fix the code. But either way, there's your somewhat lengthy answer to what are the DAO tokens. But you can store those in the Jax wallet. Whether or not they'll succeed in the future, who knows? But Jax is a really great wallet. You can get it at jaxx.io. And it's, by the way, cross-platform. So you can put it on your smartphone, tablet, laptop, Windows, Linux, Mac, iOS, Android device, whatever you got. We're going to continue. Your calls and thoughts are welcome here. On the way, the EU and their stupid rules that have mandated a 30-minute recording limitation on your digital camera devices. But first, we have George in Georgia. You're on Free Talk Live. Hey, George.
Hey, man.
Hey, you're on the air.
Hi. Yeah, okay. Well, look, first of all, our government has gone downhill from forever. The very first thing is wrong with our government is a stupid thing called the Electoral College. It should have been abolished back in the 50s when they came out with this neat device called the telephone.
Yeah. So more like Germany in like the 40s.
Yeah, I mean, because now, they have these people that no matter how you vote, if you even decide to vote, it doesn't matter. There's not any such thing as being able to, they decide.
Well, sure, but they've already decided by virtue of the fact that you're being presented with crap sandwich A and crap sandwich B from which to choose. So really, would it matter if the
then when you get somebody like a Ross Perot or a Ron Paul, they attack his family, and all the news media automatically discredit them, and the money's thrown at just to discredit them and call them a bunch of idiots.
Right, but that's not it's not the Electoral College that's causing the news media to do that.
Right.
If anything,
but it's the big money that's causing that.
Right.
Because of
but
all
get rid of the Electoral
College.
College, and imagine how much more power the media would have.
Well,
I mean, it's the flip side. The argument is kind of the flip side.
No, if it was an automatic vote where you could see it on your cell phone to see, automatically, this many votes for this guy, this many votes for that person.
How about we just forget about the idea of voting for people? I mean, let's get beyond this. Oh, let's tweak the little voting system this way. Let's tweak the voting system that way. Let's just get beyond the idea of the state. What do we need the federal government for anyway?
Well, we really don't.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
So I say stop spending any time trying to figure out a better way for the federal system to exist. Because we can all sit down and brainstorm little tweaks that we think might make the system better. But ultimately, the system is a system of tyranny. And any way you tweak it, you're still going to end up with these Republicans and Democrats ruling over your life and stealing as much money as they can get away with.
Yeah, we live in a police state.
Yeah.
Correct. And changing the voting system isn't going to affect that because the power is too centralized in D.C. The moneyed interests are they're dug in deep like a tick, and you're not going to get them out of there just by trying to change the rules. And by the way, you still have to ask the very same people who you don't like to change the rules to what you would like. Yeah. And so they're not going to do it.
It's like this Brexit. It should be all's-it. Or
every country
zit,
leaving everywhere.
Everything should. We should all exit. Everybody.
I think so. I agree with that. George, is there a secession movement down there in Georgia?
Oh, I don't know about that. I'm just a 60-year-old guy down in Georgia that's lived all over the United States and paid taxes all my life and never going to be able to retire. And
I heard you, brother. Thank you for the call tonight, man. I appreciate hearing from you. I think a lot of people realize what George does, and that is that the federal government is a dangerous thing. It's useless. People hate the fact that they're ruled by these people, but yet some of them think it's necessary. George isn't one of them, but I think it's the secessionist movements have a lot of ground that they still need to gain. And if you're in Georgia or whatever other state you find yourself, you should start looking around, see if there's a secession movement down there. I know there's one in Texas. There's one here in New Hampshire. There's one in Vermont. Hawaii, I believe, has one as well. California has one. So let's get 50 secession movements going. Let's start, getting the buzz out there. NH Exit hit the streets on Sunday night in Manchester outside of the federal building there. And they've gotten coverage in the Concord Monitor and the Union Leader and I think a couple of local TV stations as well. So just get out there, put a press release out to the various mainstream media and let them know you're going to, be having some sort of secession protest or independence protest or whatever you want to call it. And let's get people starting to talk about the idea of secession. The toll-free number here is 855-450-FREE. If the UK can do it, why can't you do it? This is Free Talk Live, 855-450-FREE. Join us.
This is a warning to all household pests, to all cockroaches, spiders, ants, rodents, and other pests. If you've just made yourself at home in someone else's home, you'd better hope the owners never hear about Terminix. Because Terminix has the know-how and the means to do whatever it takes to remove you from that home. Terminix has over 85 years of experience exterminating invaders like you. And right now, they're making it easier than ever for homes to be protected by offering a free pest estimate to every caller at 1-800-689-2939. Cockroaches, spiders, ants, rodents, and other pests. This is your eviction notice. With one call, Terminix will remove you from the home you've invaded. If you think you can simply come back later, Think again. Terminix will protect that home with a 100% satisfaction money-back guarantee, so you can never return. Warning, homeowners are calling Terminix right now for a free pest estimate at 1-800-689-2939. 1-800-689-2939.
Limitations apply. See plan for details.
After a rough day on the range, a feller can get a bit saddle sore. That's why I use Blue Emu Original Super Strength Cream. It works fast and penetrates deep to soothe my tired muscles and joints.
And he don't stink.
And I'll tell you one thing, I had no idea this stuff was so darn handy.
Blue Emu Original Super Strength Cream. Available at all major retailers. It works fast for long-lasting soothing of tired muscles and joints.
And you won't stink.
Welcome to Staples.
Staples guy, I need to get a grip on my company's spending.
Staples has low prices every day.
So I won't overspend?
Nope. With our price match guarantee, you can always get the lowest price on everything for your office.
Everything?
Everything.
The lowest prices on ink, paper, coffee, ink, folders, notepads, ink, sticky notes, ink, trash pads, ink, binders, and ink?
Need some ink?
A little bit, yeah.
Trust Staples for low prices every day. Staples. Make more happen.
Price match good at checkout for items from retailers operating online in retail stores or products sold and shipped by Amazon. See store or staples.com for details.
Recently, LRN.FM kicked off its 2016 satellite fundraiser. This year, we're hoping to expand our international free-to-air satellite coverage to include Europe, the Middle East, and North Africa. Our current satellite coverage includes North America, Central America, and Sub-Saharan Africa. This year, the Indiegogo-based fundraiser is going to be promoted via a Head Talker. It's a website that allows you to sign up to join in a social media blast to promote something. Sign up now at share.lrn.fm via your preferred social media, and then on Independence Day, July 4th, the Head Talker will post to your social media accounts about our fundraiser. We've set a goal of 200 people. Will you be one of them? Now, of course, you can go donate to the fundraiser right now at fund.lrn.fm. But even if you can't afford to help, you can definitely add your social media reach to the Head Talker. So please do. Go to share.lrn.fm. That's share.lrn.fm.
The three most important things you can do for Free Talk Live are: 1, share one episode a week on Facebook or in some other social networking site. 2, buy the things you buy online through shop.freetalklive.com. 3, give $5 a month to the AMP program. It's my firm belief that Free Talk Live's AMP program is the best use of your charitable dollar among liberty-oriented organizations. Support all the organizations you love, but make sure you give $5 a month to AMP at amp.freetalklive.com.
Are you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless free market non-political currency. Bitcoin cannot be inflated or controlled by any government. By using their money, you are helping the state. Stop doing it. You have an incredible alternative available now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at bitcoin.com. That's bitcoin.com.
Help get LRN.FM into more ears. Visit promote.lrn.fm for a free bumper sticker, flyers, banners, graphics, and more. Promote.lrn.fm.
It's Free Talk Live. You can take control of the airwaves. Dial in toll-free to bring up whatever's on your mind. We've got Skype. Skype username is LRN.FM. You'll need to send a contact request first if you haven't done that yet on Skype, and then we'll approve it. It won't take very long for it to get approved, and then you'll be easily able to call on Skype from that point forward. If you want to call us toll-free, do that at 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. In the studio tonight, it's Ian.
And Johnson.
Okay, so right back to your phone calls. Then coming up, a ridiculous European Union regulation. Give you an example of how micromanaged the European Union is, and one reason why a lot of people want to leave it. Let's go to Sarah first, though, in New Mexico. You're on Free Talk Live. Hello, Sarah.
Yes, I just have one more idea to add to the rapid transit here in Albuquerque, that project. And, you know, the most important aspect of it is pedestrian and intersection safety. You know, I'm convinced that we're going to be saving like 10 to 15 lives along like 8 miles of Central. So where they're gonna build from Coors up to like Eubank, that's about 8 miles. I believe like there's about 15 people killed crossing Central.
You believe that. Now, what is it that makes you believe that?
Well, you know what? We had 41 people killed in Bernalillo County. That's a county including Albuquerque and a little outside area.
Uh-huh.
The Bernalillo County, so we killed about 41 pedestrians at 2/3
all at
once?
Over what time frame?
1 year.
Okay, 41 in 1 year in the county. All right. So how do you whittle it down to believe that over an 8-mile run of one road that there will be 15 people dying?
Were they spread out over the 8 miles?
Well, I mean, the 10 to 15 people, because the thing is that, you know, right next to University of New Mexico, they have 3 car lanes going one way and another 3 cars going one way. And the speed limit is 35. You know what they're doing? About 40 to 45 or sometimes 50. Mm-hmm. And they can't
Do
stop.
they, like, accelerate when they see pedestrians in the crosswalk?
Of course.
Of course they do. Right. Right.
So,
statistically.
Yeah, I mean,
what you're saying is you've observed people speeding around the university campus.
Well, they figure that if they're a jaywalker, they just speed up and kill you because they figure that you're not at the crosswalk. See?
You are so crazy.
Do you think that they have like a point system for like different types of people?
Well, I think they like to kill like the elderly and the disabled and the blind. I guess that's more.
Are you for real?
How many points do you think a blind person is worth?
I have no idea, but you know, it's just this is the wild west.
You really believe? I just want to understand you here, Sarah, because I you know, there's some people who call this show that listeners believe are fake, that they believe they could not possibly be real. Scott the Bigot, many longtime listeners will remember there was a debate over whether or not Scott the Bigot was really this bigoted a-hole that he seemed to be when he called the show. And I haven't heard that debate about you, Sarah, because I think that people think I think that you're genuine. I think you genuinely want to see these things change in your town, that you're worried about pedestrians. But do you really believe what you just said, that people in cars speed up purposefully trying to hit pedestrians?
Well, you know what? I live here. They do that to me.
Oh, come on.
When they see I'm crossing. I'm serious, because you know what? I've been living
You
here
are
for
some
years.
sort of delusional nutcase. I mean, to think that people are so dangerous and that they are just without care for their fellow human beings.
Well, okay, now I'm going to drop the other shoe. So there is video of this happening, not in the United States, but in China. In China, the way the legal system works, this can only happen with statism, but in China, the legal system, you are better off if you have killed the person that you hit. So if you get in an accident with a pedestrian in China, you want to hit them and leave.
Yeah, but she's acting
that's how they've made their government system work over there.
But that would be in the situation where it was an accident. She sounds like, I swear to you, Sarah just said that she believes people will speed up to purposely hit someone who's a pedestrian, as though it were a game. You joked that you riffed on it, that it was a game. But Sarah, why would you think people are so callous and so heartless towards their fellow man and woman?
Well, they think it's funny. They want you to run for your life. They think it's funny.
Now, how do you know what they think? Have you actually talked to people that drive and they've told you, yes, I think it's Sarah, I think it's so funny to run you little pedestrians down. You're next.
Well, I see them laughing and smiling when I have to run out of their way. They think it's real funny. And plus, over here, they run over 2 times, 2 different cars.
They've what,
because
2 times?
The first one runs them over. Yeah, 2 times. I hear this. They do this all the time in the evening. They can't. The first kind run them over.
That's got to be some kind of bonus
right.
points right there. If you can actually immediately run over someone else that someone has just run over. Thanks for the call, Sarah. Good luck out there in the streets. Wow. Toll-free number.
I'm just thinking like a video game, like double bonus, you know, like triple kill, you know, killing spree.
Right.
No, oh God, what is going on? Actually, in college when I was down in Sarasota, I actually almost got hit in a crosswalk by a car that was speeding through, didn't pay attention to the fact that there were crosswalks. This is like a road where students are crossing all the time. And students had just crossed, and I was crossing, and this car was going way too fast and almost hit me. I jumped back. I freely admit, I kicked a gigantic dent in this person's car because they almost got me. Like, they almost got me, and I just was angry. I was furious, and I just reached out. I had steel-toed boots on, and just wham. Serves you right. Keep going. Goodbye. And I just kept walking. I actually waved and just kept walking.
Wow. I'm just trying to imagine being Sarah and walking around the streets of Albuquerque, New Mexico, believing that everyone is out to get you if they're driving behind the wheel of a car and that they just think it's the funniest thing in the world to run you over.
Right.
To live in that level of paranoia is just hard to fathom.
Right.
The toll-free number tonight here, if you want to join us, is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. You do not have to
basically, I think out there, she's in New Mexico, right? What they're doing is it's like this whole group of people, and they kind of like they tear apart their cars and they augment the engines, and then they like put the human remains like on the cars and they rebuild them, and they have these sort of like armies, these roving gangs that are there.
It's like Mad Max.
Yeah. Then they they're like warring, and they're trying to create tribes and villages.
Don't give her any ideas. She might start hallucinating.
She's going to go see Mad Max Fury Road or whatever now and be like, it was fantastic.
Yeah. Toll-free number tonight, 855-450-FREE.
Like, yeah, exactly. They roam the desert. I know, statistically, because I saw it in a paper.
So what's the deal with these cameras and their restrictions to recording for 30 minutes of video, the digital SLR cameras? Specifically, the article over at Breitbart by Michael Yon, he's talking about his camera, the Canon Mark III 5D. It says, I use the same model for interviews and other situations to capture maximum detail. I just use this camera in 11 countries during comfort women research. I don't know what that is. Often, my use
of that mean? That's sort of interesting.
My use of the camera to create video requires keeping it still, usually on a tripod, ideally shooting video until the battery dies. But the camera will only shoot for 29 minutes and 59 seconds. Why? This time limit has often been problematic. The reason for the time limit is not technical. It has nothing to do with sensor overheating or memory issues. The limit's caused by bureaucrats overheating and their insatiable compulsion to control any and all mundane minutiae within their grasp, such as how much cinnamon should be permitted on a Danish pastry. And then he links to a story about that.
I think it's rather unsettling that these cameras cannot record longer than 30 minutes. We should limit it immediately.
For whatever reason, bureaucrats decided that significant tariffs should be charged for video cameras. But first, they needed to define what is a video camera and what is not.
Actually, it'd probably be rather inappropriate to assign a British accent to a bureaucrat now, right? I mean, obviously, that's not really the case.
During that quest, bureaucrats set an arbitrary time limit for continuous video. They created law stating that cameras capable of shooting 30 minutes or more of continuous video would be considered video cameras, and thus subject to significant tariffs that could cost hundreds of dollars more per camera, or for top-end models, even thousands more per camera.
Ridiculous.
So basically, this is a way for manufacturers to get around that particular restriction.
Right.
From 2007, quote, the EU trade experts decided last Friday that to be classified as a digital camera, equipment must not be able to record at least 30 minutes of video, of a single sequence of video in a quality of 800 by 600 pixels or higher at 23 frames per second or higher.
Why are they taxing digital cameras in the first place?
Because they can.
Yeah.
855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. And we'll tell you a little bit more about these ridiculous camera restrictions brought to you by the EU. On the way in hour number 2 of Free Talk Live.
Are you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin cannot be inflated or controlled by any government. By using their money, you are helping the state. Stop doing it! You have an incredible alternative available now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at Bitcoin.com. That's Bitcoin.com.
DVD, books, music, instruments, periodicals, computers, software, electronics, photo, cell phones, office products, home and garden, bed and bath, furniture, kitchen, pet supplies, automotive, hardware, apparel, shoes, jewelry, grocery, healthcare, sports and outdoors, toys, games, used, and more. It's a department store at your fingertips. Shop.freetalklive.com. Get all your shopping done, get a great deal, and a portion of your purchase goes to benefit Free Talk Live when you enter Amazon via shop.freetalklive.com.
In Survivor Max 2, School Bites, Max must scavenge through a wasteland swarming with the undead. Desperate to find the medicine he needs, he discovers a community of survivors at his former school. Has he finally found the safe haven he's been looking for, or will he discover that school bites? Look for Survivor Max on Facebook, read reviews on Amazon, and read Chapter 1 at survivormax.com.
You can listen to Free Talk Live on the radio, podcast, satellite, webcam, and our live streams. But did you know you can listen to Free Talk Live from any phone, anywhere? Add this number to your phone, 213-493-0308. It's a long-distance call, so make sure you're familiar with your phone's calling plan. The listen lines are airing the latest episode of Free Talk Live 24 hours a day, including our live shows. Call 213-493-0308. That's 213-493-0308.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 2 is next, after the news, here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
From Keene in the Shire, the Liberty Media capital of the world, this is Daryl W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for Tuesday, June 28th, 2016. Silver is trading at $17.76 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,315 per ounce. And according to BitcoinAverage.com, the average price of Bitcoin is $649. Antiwar.com reports Pentagon officials have confirmed the start of an investigation into a Saturday airstrike in Afghanistan, which reportedly killed not just the Taliban commander it targeted, but also 6 hostages who were held in Taliban custody. The Pentagon has confirmed the strike took place near the city of Kunduz, one of a handful of strikes launched since the Obama administration loosened the rules of engagement to allow an escalation in direct U.S. involvement in the Afghan war. Taliban spokesman Zabiullah Mujahid confirmed the strike killed Mullah Jannat Gul Osmani and 4 other fighters, along with 6 captured Afghan soldiers who were being held in the same area. The Afghan police denied the reports, claiming the airstrike killed Mullah Jannat and 5 other Taliban, and that the Taliban has killed the soldiers afterward out of spite, and then tried to blame the U.S. for it. The investigation, however, suggests that the Taliban's narrative is potentially correct, though whether we ever get the results of that investigation publicly, as always, remains to be seen. For nearly 40 years, Roberts & Roberts Brokerage has been a trusted source for buying and selling precious metals like gold and silver. They also take Bitcoin for precious metal purchases and have permanently removed the minimum purchase amount for all orders paid in the digital currency. Call Roberts & Roberts today for knowledgeable advice on buying and selling precious metals and a forward-thinking approach to new technologies. 800-874-9760 or visit online at rrbi.co. UPI reports Airbnb Incorporated is suing its home city of San Francisco to try and block a new rental law that it claims would violate federal protection for internet companies. The new ordinance, which the city's Board of Supervisors passed in a 10-0 vote earlier this month, requires hosts for companies like Airbnb, VRBO, and HomeAway to register with the city or be fined $1,000 for each host who violates the law through one of the companies. Airbnb is challenging the regulation and filing to have a preliminary injunction placed on the ordinance, which will take effect later this month. Legislators passed the law trying to combat the city's housing crisis, but Airbnb contends the regulation violates the Communications Decency Act. Airbnb said on their blog, "This legislation ignores the reality that the system is not working, and this new approach will harm thousands of everyday San Francisco residents who depend on Airbnb. It also violates the law. This is an unprecedented step for Airbnb and one we do not take lightly, but we believe it's the best best way to protect our community of host and guest. The battle is just the latest in a bad month for Airbnb and other short-term rental companies, with new regulations being passed in New York City and Chicago. Los Angeles is close to passing similar regulations.
You can support FPP Radio by shopping online. Whether you're looking for precious metals, bitcoins, or books, you'll find that and more at shop.fppradio.com. Every purchase you make from one of my affiliates, like Namecheap and Amazon, at shop.fppradio.com helps fund FPP Radio. Or you can shop directly from FPP with Bitcoin in the Bitcoin store. That's shop.fppradio.com.
Reuters reports the U.S. Supreme Court on Monday struck down a Texas abortion law imposing strict regulations on doctors and facilities and the strongest endorsement of abortion rights in America in more than 2 decades. The 5-3 ruling held that the Republican-backed 2013 Texas law placed an undue burden on women exercising their right under the U.S. Constitution to end a pregnancy, established in the court's landmark 1973 Roe v. Wade decision. The abortion providers who challenged the law said it was medically unnecessary and specifically intended to shut down clinics. Texas officials said it was intended to protect women's health. The ruling means similar laws in other states are probably unconstitutional and could put in jeopardy other types of abortion restrictions enacted in various conservative states. Jennifer Dalvin, a lawyer for the American Civil Liberties Union, said the decision should send a loud signal to politicians that they can no longer hide behind sham rationales to shut down clinics and prevent a woman who has decided to end a pregnancy from getting the care she needs. Writing for the court, Liberal Justice Stephen Breyer said, "We conclude that neither of these provisions offer medical benefits sufficient to justify the burdens upon access that each imposes." This has been FPP Radio News, online at fppradio.com.
Everyone needs to get a justice shed. So you have a place to throw that little juvenile delinquent you caught loitering out on the street corner. This is not rocket science, people. I just call up my neighbors, Frank and Terry. We get out there with baseball bats, fishing nets, and we knock that suspect out. And we toss him in our justice shed. We just start dealing out some shovel beatings. That's democracy, people. That's the biggest benefit of the justice shed, people. You are in charge.
Our justice shed was all filled up, so we created this justice cage. It's just as good. These guys, I think we caught them shoplifting, and this is my daughter's boyfriend.
Look, if you don't have a yard big enough to place a justice shed in, go out and get yourself a justice barrel. I don't care. The important thing is to take control of your safety by any means necessary.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
It's Free Talk Live. We're launching into the second hour of the program. Of course, time for you, if you want to join us here at 855-450-FREE. You can bring up anything that you want to discuss. It's Ian and Johnson in the studio, 855-450-3733. Skype into the show. It's Skype username LRN.FM. Turns out it's the European Union. It's their fault. The reason why your digital SLR camera can only record video up to 30 minutes in length is because of the EU, because of their regulations, their taxes, where they created a category called video cameras that requires that the video device must be able to record for longer than 30 minutes at a time. If so, it's qualified as a video camera and subject to what could be hundreds of dollars or maybe even over $1,000 worth of taxes.
Just ridiculous.
Just on that one device. So, according to the story at Breitbart.com, manufacturers like Canon programmed their cameras to stop making video at 29 minutes and 59 seconds. Can't make this stuff up, writes the author. Well, bureaucrats can. This has cost me headaches. It would have been worth the price to pay a few $100 more to have the hardware fully enabled, unfettered by arbitrary firmware specifications contrived in Brussels, over breakfast consisting of reduced cinnamon Danish pastries. Canon's global shipments contained this firmware. There was no option to buy an unlocked model.
You know what Canon should have done, would have been great, is have it be like a you can shoot at a higher frame rate for that period of time – so that you're shooting at like an extreme frame rate and then just extend the video.
That's a strange workaround, I guess, because you'd have to. Yeah, I don't think that would work, though.
No, because the audio wouldn't work.
Because it would be in slow motion.
Well, wait, but what if could record audio for a longer period of time?
Well, no, if you recorded a higher frame rate, it would be in slow motion.
Right, exactly.
If you played back the frame rate at 24 frames a second or 30 frames a second.
Exactly.
So, no, that wouldn't work. So what happened, though, is Canon made this standard for their model. They didn't just make an EU version, which is crippled, and ship that to the European Union. No, the entire globe is now subject to this EU regulation, simply because for manufacturing purposes, it's probably easier to just have one model.
It's weird, though, because if it's a software thing, then it's not that
True,
much
yeah,
easier.
it could just be different firmware.
And it is different firmware because he talks in this article about how he undoes the problem.
Oh, he hacked it?
Yep.
Oh, cool. That's, he says there is an easy workaround. Spend thousands more dollars on a high-quality video camera and invest a great deal of time in learning to use it. When there is a perfectly great camera already in my hands that could do the job, a camera I've already paid for. The Eurocrats sabotaged my expensive tool. There are other workarounds such as firmware hacks, paper covers rock, and hacking voids the warranty. Years ago, I tried the magic lantern hack on a Canon G10. I had specific application trying to catch firefights and car bombs the moment they began by leaving the camera pointing in the direction of probable action and waiting, like a trail camera. I never deployed it to Afghanistan, but did check that it might work. The hack also has security applications such as motion detection. The hack appears to be fantastic, but there are no guarantees the camera will
It's not. I mean, he's calling it a hack, but it's really just it's a firmware. It's an alternative firmware.
I've heard about this.
It's like installing DDWRT on a router.
I've heard about this magic lantern. It's like super camera person friendly stuff, right? Like really detailed tweaks and things like that, right?
Yeah.
They give you way more options.
I've always been bummed because I've got an early series Canon Digital Rebel
and it doesn't
support. Yeah, it's just before. It's like maybe one or two models before it was supported.
So he does say here the hack does appear to be fantastic, but there are no guarantees the camera will function the moment that you need it. And again, the hacking voids the warranty. So I guess if you're past warranty and you're worried about repair, then that would be a good time to put this thing on.
Right.
But nonetheless, interesting detail that I didn't know. I'd actually kind of wondered that myself. Like, what was that? Because I've got one of these cameras, and
like, why can't I shoot?
What's with that? Got plenty of room on the SD card. Why can't I shoot longer than 30 minutes? Now you know. It's the EU.
And your camera probably is Magic Lantern compatible.
Could very well be. Toll-free number tonight, 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. Technically, that's Virgil's camera. He donated it to Free Talk Live very generously. So in other EU-related news, and this is actually pretty big news. That last story was just to give you a taste of European Union regulations and how micromanagey that they truly are. This is the big picture from Sputnik. Do you know what Sputnik is?
The Russian space program?
Well, it's that's the original Sputnik. This is actually Sputnik is now a website, SputnikNews.com. It's the old Voice of Russia.
Right.
So this is the sort of the corollary to Russia Today, the television side of the Russia propaganda channel. Sputnik's been around longer, I guess.
We are an original news source.
That is right. They changed the name very recently, actually. So it used to be
called
Voice
We were around before Russia adopted evil American capitalism.
It was called Voice of Russia up until just a couple of years ago, and then they changed it to Sputnik for some reason. Polish Foreign Minister Witold Wasygnowski has said the Warsaw rejects France and Germany's plans for a European superstate, which have emerged this week following the UK's decision to leave the European Union. German Foreign Minister Frank-Walter Steinmeier has presented Eastern European EU members with an ultimatum for an EU superstate in the aftermath of the Brexit.
Oh, actually, this brings up an interesting little factoid that I heard not too long ago. But did you know that the America now has more nonviolent people in prison that were in the original Russian gulags?
I did hear about that. That's actually a couple years old, right? That story?
I don't think it's that old.
Okay, I thought I saw that headline, and I thought I looked at the date on that, and that it was actually a couple years old. But I could be
maybe it is. I don't know.
I could be misremembering. But yeah, not a surprise.
Right.
We've got a lot of peaceful people behind bars here. A lot of thought crimes. A lot of plant possessors. Anyway, the plan, which is named A Strong Europe in a World of Instability, was signed by Steinmeier and French Foreign Minister Jean-Marc Ayrault. and presented to the Visegrad group of countries at a meeting in Prague on Monday. Quote, "Our two countries share a common destiny and a common set of values that provides the foundation for an ever closer union between our peoples. We will therefore move further towards political union in Europe and invite other Europeans to join us in this endeavor," France and Germany wrote in the 9-page document. Their idea of a new-look state includes a common defense, intelligence, judicial, migration, and financial policy. France and Germany suggest a common European security and defense policy, which will establish a European Security Compact, dealing with all aspects of security and defense at the European level. They plan to increase the power of the European Public Prosecutor's Office, which had already been proposed to prosecute fraud and financial crime across the EU.
It's a global conspiracy. Oh, wait,
This actually is at least a partial. It's certainly a EU conspiracy. The office will be expanded. By the way, this is leaked information that is being reported on.
Yeah, this is from WikiLeaks, right?
No, actually, it was a. Oh God, let's see here. It was, I believe, a Polish-based website that. I'm sorry, I'll have to find that later, Johnson. I don't have it in front of me. But it's
dubious.
It's being reported.
This is like Sarah News.
No, this is being reported in a variety of places. The office will be expanded to include fighting against terrorism and organized crime, which would require the harmonization of penal codes across member states. The EU's strongest members also suggest nation-states lose the right to run their own migration policy, including the imposition of migration quotas. So just to give you, a summary of what's happening here, they're claiming that France and Germany have proposed an ultimatum for European EU members or Eastern European EU members that they either join with this plan or else. Okay, here it is. TVP, a Polish news broadcaster, was who originally reported this. And so they've approached the Czech Republic, Hungary, Poland, and Slovakia. They're saying that they're going to basically all of these countries would have to drop their own defense forces. They would have to drop. They would have to submit to the power of the European Public Prosecutor's Office. And they may even not be able to set migration policy. Quote, "There shall be no unilateral national answers to the migration challenge. Germany and France are convinced that it's high time to work toward establishing truly integrated European asylum, refugee, and migration policy," unquote. A situation in which the burden of migration is unevenly carried by a limited number of member states is unsustainable, they wrote, suggesting modifying the Dublin regulation, which establishes which EU member will house an asylum seeker and deal with their application. You can join us here toll-free at 855-450-FREE. Is a EU superstate on tap? Is that's what's coming next for the European Union in the wake of the Brexit? It's Free Talk Live.
This is a life-changing message for anyone with sleep apnea who is on the go and tired of dragging around a big, bulky home CPAP device. MiniCPAP.com now offers a portable device that's as small as a soda can and weighs less than a pound. For even more freedom, you can add a battery that's as tiny as a deck of cards. It's called the Transcend Mini CPAP, and right now you can try it risk-free for 10 days by calling 1-800-941-9483. Transcend is the world's first portable mini CPAP device. It gives you the freedom to sleep in total comfort anywhere you are. Our smallest and most advanced portable design ever, Transcend is so small and so light you can fit it in your briefcase or purse to use anywhere you go. It's FAA compliant too, so you can even sleep comfortably while flying. Enjoy the freedom to sleep comfortably anywhere. Call minicpap.com now for your 10-day at-home trial. 1-800-941-9483. That's 1-800-941-9483.
America, what will it take for you to finally recognize that we're facing a major financial problem today? How high does our debt have to go? How far do stock prices have to fall? How many more times must Congress raise the debt ceiling? How many more trillions does the Fed need to print out of thin air? How much bigger must the wealth gap between rich and poor get? How much longer does the Fed need to manipulate interest rates? Wake up, America. The facts are simple. We can't afford our debts, and we can't stop printing or borrowing money. So, we're going to see a massive monetary crisis like nothing in history. Don't believe government officials or mainstream media who tell you everything's okay. Get the facts. Go online to www.defendmymoney3.com. Learn how to protect yourself. Go to www.defendmymoney3.com. That's defendmymoney, the number 3.com.
Welcome back to the War for the White House bunker. A troubling new report from the Shuttleworth Institute shows that due to Facebook, every potential candidate for the 2040 presidential race, no matter how smart or accomplished, is now completely unelectable. I'm standing in the 2012 Democrat with Jason Copeland. Jason, walk us through this.
Yeah, we're looking at really a political crisis. The Democrats are currently searching basements and creepy backyard sheds in search of somebody who was kidnapped at a young enough age that they have no online presence.
That is a very interesting tactic.
And the GOP has been looking at this young man. This is a 20-year-old Jeeves Jones. He's currently living in Appalachia with his fundamentalist Christian grandmother and no electricity.
So Jeeves has no Facebook page?
Jeeves does not. In fact, he's completely illiterate. And the Republican Party has begun grooming him for a possible candidacy in 2036.
All right. Well, at least there's someone. Thank you, Jason Copeland.
Thanks, Andrea.
Did you know you can watch Free Talk Live during our live show 7 days a week from 7 to 10 p.m. Eastern via our studio cams at cam.freetalklive.com? Plus, you can chat with other listeners while you watch, all totally free. Now that our live video stream is hosted by YouTube, our video archives will be online even faster. So be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Listen, watch, and chat all free at cam.freetalklive.com. That's cam.freetalklive.com.
I love My Magic Mud. I drink a lot of coffee. I had stains on my teeth. Then I found My Magic Mud, and I was told it would remove stains. So I paid attention when I brushed the first time. My Magic Mud is black tooth powder, and the difference it made in my teeth in one application was noticeable. With 4, my teeth were as white as you normal folks out there. Please go to mymagicmud.com and buy a jar. There's 150 applications for $25. You can use Bitcoin, mymagicmud.com.
This is the Liberty Radio Network, broadcasting the latest liberty-oriented audio content 24 hours a day at LRN.FM.
It is Free Talk Live. You can join us toll-free here, 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. Proposals for an EU superstate have been leaked out. We gave you the basics of the proposal. There's a few different places reporting on it.
It's a superstate saving you from hunger with their wonderful, magical social program powers. They will keep you out of infirmity. It's a superstate.
Sounds like it could be an audio track to like a YouTube video. Something creative.
Like one of those old-timey newscasts.
Right, put it in black
I'm trying
and white.
to do like, the old Superman, remember like really old 50s Superman? Like, it's a bird, it's a plane. No.
I don't think I've seen
it's
that.
Superman.
But I do love the old newscaster
you never
voice.
saw the original Superman stuff, like back in the 50s, where it's like Superman's just basically tights and it's in black and white, and it's like, Superman's supposed to be this impressive, striking figure, and it's like, dude, that's a guy in tights with slick back hair. What,
maybe I have seen that. I don't know. It's just been so long. Maybe when I was a kid or something like that. But anyway, they've allegedly given an ultimatum to several of the member states in the EU that would mean they would lose their right to have their own army, criminal law, taxation system, or even their own central bank, with all those powers being transferred to the EU.
Special powers.
Yeah. So, terrible news for anybody that loves independence, that loves the idea of secession, although what it may end up doing is spurring more of the exits from the EU.
I want to recommend, since I made this sort of reference, that people, if you go to YouTube and look up The Cronies.
Good show.
It's just a little animated series. Like there are these fake commercials for kids' toys that are based on, government superpowers.
They did appear to actually have toys, so they must have made a limited run.
Yeah, 3D printed
something.
or like, something. I don't know.
Really creative stuff. The Cronies, it's fun.
Why they should have made them, because I totally would have bought that. Absolutely. Those would have been awesome to have.
Well,
the Cronies.
3D printers, you could probably...
That's true. Maybe get the models
download it and print one out. Yeah. The Cronies really funny. Yeah, I agree with you. People should check that out if they've never seen it before. And it's Kronies, right?
I think so, yeah.
So toll-free number here tonight, 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. The commercials are really funny because they're totally done in like that 90s kids toy style.
And it's got like that, hair metal, whatever, I don't know, like
the screaming metal, in the background. Great stuff.
Cartoon metal.
It's actually, it wouldn't be bad to play on the air just because the audio is pretty good.
Yeah.
But it's also fun to watch at the same time.
Better visuals.
So join us here. We've got Skype at Skype username LRN.FM.
Although they would make a great, fake commercial for the break.
Yeah, you're right about that. I never even thought about that. So Psychology Today, I've got a story about Pavlov's dogs. But first, you've got a different psychology-related story from Cyblog. Johnson, changing gears from international politics.
Sure, and it's kind of the opposite of Pavlovian.
into psychological distance, which is a concept with which I'm not familiar, at least with the name of it.
But I'm sure it's something that you engage in, actually.
Okay, all right.
So this article, the title is Psychological Distance, 10 Fascinating Effects of a Simple Mind Hack. Think distant. The mind hack is simple. You imagine yourself way off in the future, or living in a different country, or as a different person. The aim is to have that feeling of detachment, of stepping outside yourself by whatever means you can. This puts you into an abstract or psychologically distant frame of mind that has all kinds of effects on your perceptions of the world. Here are 10 of my favorite examples.
Okay, so imagining yourself outside of yourself, far away from yourself,
or in the distant
or in a different
future,
time frame from yourself.
Different time frame. I could potentially see you probably engaging in a different time frame. Like maybe, what's this going to be the effect on my future? Future thinking.
Okay.
I don't know if you do that. If that's something you do, engage in, or not. I don't know.
I'm not sure yet. You're going to have to tell me more about it.
Okay, so here's the first thing, his favorite example. Making challenging tasks seem easier. When you are finding a task difficult, increasing your psychological distance from it makes it feel easier. Activating an abstract mindset reduced the feeling of difficulty. Oh, this is a quote from a study. Yep. Activating an abstract mindset reduced the feeling of difficulty. A direct manipulation of distance from the task produced the same effect. Participants found the task to be less difficult when they distanced themselves from the task by leaning back in their seats. So this is from a study. He says, it's just
physical distance.
Yeah, they say it's just as true of physical distance as it is for psychological distance. But imagine, you have a task or whatever, and you distance yourself from it by thinking of yourself as having completed the task in the far future. How would it feel? You're just thinking. You take yourself out of yourself and put yourself in another mindset. It's reframing.
Yeah,
and reframing can be a very, very powerful way of getting past a lot of weird psychological issues.
Yeah, the New Agers would call this changing your vibration to vibrate and feel the way you would feel when the task is completed, and so you will get to that place easier.
But it's really just, and that even in and of itself is still really just psychological reframing.
Mm-hmm.
Generating self-insight. When things go wrong in life and you're trying to work out why, psychological distance can help. Directing people to analyze their feelings surrounding negative autobiographical experiences from a distance perspective, so they're thinking about their oneself from the perspective of a fly on the wall, right? Mm-hmm. This is sort of how that's explained. In comparison to a self-immersed perspective, first-person perspective, leads them to experience less emotional and physiological reactivity in the short term while buffering against negative outcomes associated with rumination over time. So they're talking about, if you really want to, perceive, you kind of have to look at yourself, and you basically generate you take your frame of reference, your frame of thought, and kind of think about what's going on in your circumstances and what you're doing in any given activity, and put yourself as a fly on the wall, essentially. So you try and look how would someone else view what you're doing.
And this is supposed to help you with, what was it, psychological trauma?
This is for generating self-insight. So if you want to learn about, in other words, most people don't ever really take the time to get outside of themselves and think about how am I affecting other people? What am I doing? Or what is it? Who am I? And so if you're trying to figure out who you are or get insight about yourself, am I that type of person who's, a hard worker, does this task, doing to help yourself with that, besides, not just obviously one great way would be to just ask people, right?
Sure.
But another great way you can do it yourself is if you distance yourself from yourself by like imagining that you're watching yourself doing these things. Like it takes, obviously that would take some serious effort.
And what was the header for that part?
Generate self-insight.
Generate self-insight.
So you're trying to generate insight about yourself, but in order to do that, you can't just be in your own head. You kind of have to like take yourself out of your head and distance yourself from yourself.
Sarah in New Mexico is really good at that.
Yeah. So, you got to just think outside the box. That's probably a better way of saying that, is you're thinking outside your own box and, really just...
Easier said than done.
Oh, yeah, that's probably not an easy one. You can use this psychological distance to become more persuasive.
Is this number 3?
This is number 3.
We'll continue that here in moments. And you can join us toll free. Maybe you've tried some of these techniques and you swear by them, or you're not so sure about it. 855-450-FREE is our toll-free number, 855-450-3733. We'll continue with more of these, and you can share your thoughts with us also via Skype at Skype username LRN.FM.
So you've got to take a state construction license exam or certification. Can't decide on what books or what chapters to study? Discover right now how you can eliminate unnecessary books and wasted study time. At contractorexam.com, our study materials zero in on state-required test topics in an effective, multiple-choice format. So whether you're a plumber, electrician, general contractor, or other construction-related trade, contractorexam.com will help get you prepared. Visit us at www.contractorexam.com today. Hunters, anglers, campers, and survivalists. Get back to nature. Expand your horizons with the highest quality, most versatile, unique slingshots and sling bows on the market at slingbow.com. Slingbow products are compact and models start from just $17.98. They're perfect for your bug-out bag or storing in your vehicle. Give yourself and your loved ones the excitement and tradition of slingbow. A new frontier in archery and truly modern twist on this primitive survival tool. Feel the thrill only at slingbow.com.
Since time began, tyrants have taken aim at personal liberties. Now there's a movie that aims back.
The government has no more right to tell us what to put in our bodies than they have to take our guns or tell us what books we can read.
6 drug police were eaten by bears while raiding a marijuana farm.
On your knees, you dirty hippies! Jesus. On your knees! What's the problem, officer?
Today, many cops who enforce pot laws do so only because it provides them with cushy jobs, good benefits, and a chance to push people around.
I was an undercover narcotics officer. The drug war is nothing but a farce.
The Second Amendment says you got to keep you and your gat intact.
Guns and Weed, The Road to Freedom. A film by Michael W. Dean and Nima Vadadi.
DVD available now at gunsandweed.com or on Amazon. That's gunsandweed.com. Makes the perfect gift. Remember, that's gunsandweed.com.
This is your Roberts & Roberts Brokerage Daily Precious Metals Update. In early trading Tuesday, gold is $10 lower at $1,315 per ounce, and silver is even at $17.82 per ounce. Bitcoin is currently trading at $645 US. Roberts & Roberts Brokerage has been helping clients buying and selling precious metals for nearly 40 years. For more information, give us a call at 800-874-9760 or visit us online at rrbi.co.
LRN.FM is proud to announce our official listening apps for Android and iOS devices. Now you can easily tune into our streams anywhere, anytime on your smartphone or tablet. Just visit apps.lrn.fm or search for LRN.FM in the Android or Apple app stores. Please download, rate us 5 stars, then share the link on your social media, and let your friends and family know how you're listening to LRN.FM. Download it now, free, at apps.lrn.fm.
Hi, I'm Montel Williams. Most of you know me as a talk show host, but I'm also an author, actor, single father of 4, a fitness writer, avid snowboarder, and I'm also a medical marijuana patient. Like many of the million people who are living with multiple sclerosis, I'm in pain every single day. And sometimes my nerves are so raw that if you brushed up against me in an elevator, I'd scream. I can't sleep at night from the pain, and sometimes the spasms in my legs are so intense they will wake me up throughout the night. I've tried the strongest prescription medications available, and I'm going to tell you, they do not work. In fact, they leave me in a stupor, and most of the time, it's impossible to even live your life. Now, I've tried medical marijuana, and I'm going to tell you something, it works. If you'd like more information about medical marijuana, you can contact the Marijuana Policy Project at mpp.org or call 1-877-JOIN-MPP.
You can sign up to receive the latest about the Liberty Radio Network via our email updates at updates.lrn.fm. That's updates.lrn.fm.
It's Free Talk Live. You're invited to join us on the radio waves here. Toll free 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. We're talking psychology here. Psychological distance. Johnson is explaining the concept to us and how it can apply in our lives to make things better, make life a little bit easier. That's my understanding so far of this. I have not read the story, so we'll continue with it here in moments. Now, our toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. Tonight, when you go to bed, concentrate on the position of your head and neck. In many cases, chronic headaches, neck, and even back pain can be solved with the right pillow. Seriously, your spine should be straight and parallel to the floor, and the MyPillow is designed to fit to the shape of your body and hold your neck in the proper position. We've been sleeping with it here. Renee and I have one each in bed, and it's an awesome pillow. It's really great. In fact, you can even wash the MyPillow in your washer, which is unprecedented. I've never even heard of that feature in any other pillow I've ever owned. So who knows what sort of mites or dust or dead things that those pillows have accumulated over the years. There is, by the way, speaking of years, a 10-year guarantee on the pillow and a 60-day money-back guarantee. So if you don't agree, if you go to MyPillow.com and you buy a pillow and for some reason you don't think it's the best pillow you've ever used, you can return it for your money back. So here's the best deal you'll find out there. If you use code FTL at MyPillow.com, you get another pillow for free. So 2 MyPillows for the price of one.
What's the consistency of this pillow? Is it more like a feather pillow or more like a memory foam pillow?
That's a hard question to answer. It's not like memory foam, but it's also not like feathers. So I'll bring it down for you.
Interesting. Is it more like cotton fill?
Nope. There's some. I haven't cut it open, so I don't know exactly what's in there.
I just mean in terms of feel, like
I'll bring it down for you, Johnson, and you can feel it up. MyPillow.com, code FTL.
Let me fondle your pillow.
Yep, so very cool stuff. I've been enjoying it. MyPillow.com, code FTL. You get a second pillow free. All right, let's go to the phones here, and then we'll get back into psychological distance. We go first to Mark in Utah, listening online. Mark, you're on Free Talk Live. Go ahead.
Hey, guys. Today I wanted to talk about the flat Earth. I know that
doesn't exist.
Sounds like that doesn't exist, yes. Well, I actually believe that it does exist. So I have a question for you. Maybe you guys could answer it, because I haven't really gotten a good answer from anybody about okay, so if you have the ball Earth model that we currently have in mainstream science, you've got the Earth that's rotating on its axis, right? I think it's a 23.4 degree tilt.
Okay.
Back and forth, and that's what creates the season. Well, my question is, why is it that no matter where the Earth is tilted, that the North Star is always located over magnetic north?
Right, because the Earth doesn't tilt back and forth. The back and forth part is the Earth is staying at the same axis, but it's rotating around the sun. So it seems like it's a back and forth, but it's because it's going in an orbit. So
I'm saying
in relation.
No. When I'm saying that it's a tilting, the tilt is what causes the seasons, according to the ball Earth model, right?
It's the directionality of the tilt in relation to the sun. The tilt doesn't change.
In relation to the rotation around the sun.
It's in relation to where it is in the orbit around the sun that the tilt is changing in relation to the sun. It's not that the tilt is actually changing.
I thought that's what we'd always been taught was
you misunderstood what you were taught.
Back and forth.
No, obviously, people who misunderstood would fall for the flat Earth.
Here's something to consider.
Theory.
Here's a very, very basic thing to consider. What's more likely to make a circular shadow? A sphere, like a ball, right? Or a disc? Mm-hmm. A flat disc. What's more likely to make a circular shadow?
Like, of course, a ball would.
Right, because a flat disk, there's all sorts of chances for it to be at a different angle that's going to make an oval or a line or all these different things. So take into consideration, is the moon also flat?
Well, I can't say. I haven't been there.
Right.
So I haven't.
But from what you see, it really doesn't look like the moon's flat, right? It looks like the moon's probably a sphere. We're seeing all different, patterns of the surface of the moon and all that stuff. Mm-hmm. Consider the fact that in order for the Earth to make a circular shadow on the moon, which it does all the time, if the Earth were flat, it would have to be perfectly aligned with the moon, and
yes, it is
perfectly aligned with the sun. They would all have to be on exactly the same line.
Actually, the moon is perfectly aligned with the Earth. In fact, it rotates supposedly it rotates at a specific speed, so that
Except
way.
We know that that's not true because the tides change and the distance of the moon from the Earth changes as well.
That's what changes the tides.
And we measure it with lasers.
The tides can actually change it due to the gravitational pull of the moon.
Yeah,
that could be what's causing the tide.
Because the moon is getting closer and further away
because of its orbit.
Right.
No,
it's an elliptical orbit.
No, it's because the moon is going over the Earth. Or it's going over the Earth, and I was always explained that it was the gravitational pull of the moon on the Earth that as it rotates around the Earth, that's what causes the tides. Is the tides are actually being pulled to the moon, or
right?
The ocean.
That is correct.
That's correct. And it depends on the distance of the moon from the Earth because that changes the gravitational pull.
Like there are weaker and stronger tides.
So let's get into some questions for you because, I don't really – it's hard to believe that anybody could really believe this claptrap. Even if you didn't understand science, and I'm not a scientist, I know –
I actually studied nuclear physics.
Okay.
So,
whatever. Even if you didn't understand science, there's some real basic questions that I think could be asked to try to understand your position about this better. Do you believe that satellites exist?
Yes, but I believe they're in a fixed position above the Earth.
Now, how is it that can happen exactly? Because there's no.
It seems a lot easier, than the idea that a satellite could rotate at a perfect rotation around the Earth, so that satellite dishes always point towards it with the Earth is spinning. It seems a lot easier to just have a satellite that's up in the air, not as high as they say it is, but actually just in a fixed position, just kind of hovering there.
And you don't think
it seems a lot easier.
Is this a conspiracy in that all the satellite operators and people who launch rockets to launch satellites into space, the private launch pads, NASA, all of these people, the thousands of individuals that are involved in this business of launching satellites, that it's all one big conspiracy to make you believe that the Earth is round?
Here's the here's the most
I want to get an answer, though, from him, Johnson.
Fine.
Hang on. What's the answer there? You've got thousands of people who presumably know the truth about whether the Earth is flat or not, and are they all in on it?
You wouldn't necessarily need thousands. You'd only because a lot of the people who are the workers for the satellite dishes and stuff like that, they're just basically being told what they're being told. People at the very, very high end, yes, they are in on the conspiracy, but it doesn't require everybody who deals with satellite dishes.
It would require that because the math is completely different. If what you're talking about is that the satellites just float up there above a flat Earth and that all the Earth is all one, on one plane, that there's no other side to it. There's another question I'm going to get to, but
hold on, I want to go to the most simple proof because I know you're talking about like geolocation and the Coriolis effect and things like, for example, when you need a trajectory of a plane, you need to know about the curvature of the Earth because you need to plan that flight path because the Earth is going to spin and your plane is going to end up in a different latitude and longitude. Okay, forget all that. Very simple.
Well, actually, we'll talk. We can talk about planes.
Sure, but I want to talk about a very simple proof. The much more simple. Take two sticks, right? Mm-hmm. Two sticks.
Yeah.
Put them straight up out of the ground. Mm-hmm. Have them a goodly distance apart. Why are their shadows different lengths?
It's the old Eratosthenes, where he had about 200 or 300 miles apart, and he planted two sticks and saw that one of them was at a 0 degree, the other one was at a 7.2 degree curve. or a 7.2 degree angle, about 300 miles apart.
It's not just the angle; it's also the length of the shadow being cast because of the rays of the sun.
Yeah, and people point towards that as proof of the round Earth, the fact that these shadows are two different lengths. Yeah. But it's not. If the
believe that it's
I want to hear more. I want to hear more of that. Yeah,
Jesus.
absolutely.
All right, hang on.
You probably
855-450 free. You can take control of the airwaves. It's Free Talk Live.
I want to hear his answer.
Every once in a while, you get information that's worth changing your life for. This is one such time. You can save up to and beyond 25% on all purchases at Amazon. You probably heard of Bitcoin and just not thought much about it. You certainly know that you can get competitive pricing at Amazon, but now you can get a 25% discount on nearly everything you need to live. I've just given you a huge raise, and all you have to do is claim it. You go to saveitpurse.com and open an account. Do this right now. Don't wait. Then you fund the account with Bitcoin. You can buy them through expresscoin.com with a check or money order. There are other ways to get Bitcoin, but that's fast, safe, and easy. This information is worth you changing the way you do things. Go to saveitpurse.com right now, get signed up, and cash in on the huge raise I'm offering you. 15 to 25% off of everything at Amazon through saveitpurse.com. It's saveatpurse.com.
My computer is so slow, it's making me crazy.
I used to have that problem.
Did you quit using a computer, or did you buy a new one?
No, I called Geeks On Site. They made an appointment to visit my home and showed up the same day.
You mean they didn't ask you to bring your computer to a shop? That's what happened when I called a support company.
Geeks On Site can go to your home or business or even repair your computer online. They have 24/7 emergency service.
If you are having problems with your PC or Mac, call Geeks On Site, 1-800-591-1682. Our friendly certified computer repair experts are available 24/7. Call now for a free diagnosis, 1-800-591-1682. Data recovery, virus removal, and maintenance for all laptops, desktops, printers, and networks. That's Geeks On Site for friendly certified computer repair experts, available 24/7 over the phone or in your home or business. Just call 1-800-591-1682. That's 1-800-591-1682, 1-800-591-1682.
Why did you move to the Shire?
I moved here to the Shire because there's other people around who take liberty just as seriously as I do.
I moved to the Shire because I saw videos of people challenging authority and thought that I could get support myself. It called to me, like, do this right now.
I wanted to be around people like me who got it, and once I got here, I knew there was nowhere else that I wanted to be.
I've always wanted to change the world, so I moved to the Shire to join people who were actually working towards doing the same thing.
The people here are awesome, loving, and positive. It was for the adventure and for the feeling of something important is happening here, and I just wanted to come to sort of be part of that.
Visit ShireSociety.com to read and sign the Shire Society Declaration and learn the reasons why, if you love liberty, you should immigrate to the Shire. Plus, add yourself to the Shire map at ShireSociety.com. That's ShireSociety.com.
The three most important things you can do for Free Talk Live are: 1, share one episode a week on Facebook or in some other social networking site. 2, buy the things you buy online through shop.freetalklive.com. 3, give $5 a month to the AMP program. You likely buy all kinds of things online. Amazon is the largest online retailer. You can get what you need at the same prices with free Super Saver shipping by going to shop.freetalklive.com. Please do your online shopping at shop.freetalklive.com.
Ross Ulbricht was convicted in early 2015 of running the infamous Silk Road Underground Market. The Silk Road was a gift to humanity and helped reduce the harms brought on by drug prohibition. For this good deed, Ross has been sentenced to life in prison with no possibility of parole. Now, an appeal is Ross's only chance, and he needs your support. Please visit freeross.org, where you can contribute via various methods, including Bitcoin. Visit freeross.org. That's freeross.org.
What's up next? Visit the Liberty Radio Network program guide to find out at shows.lrn.fm. That's shows.lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live. You're invited to join us on the radio waves here. You can bring up any kind of claptrap nonsense that you want. The toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. We've got a guy on the line who claims he was like a trainee in nuclear physics or something like that. And he actually believes that the world is flat. Every several weeks, we'll get one of these flat earthers call in. I don't know if it's always the same guy or if there's more than one of them out there. But apparently people have so much free time on their hands, they have developed a massive conspiracy theory that has to do with, well, basically every scientist in the world who knows something about, how the Earth is round, all being part of a conspiracy to try to fool people into thinking the world is round when these people believe that it is flat. Now, he says only the higher-ups in the science world really know the truth and that everybody else is just fooled.
I mean, let me be real sciencey here for a second. And it's kind of shocking to me that anybody who claims to have studied nuclear physics would claim that gravitation is planar rather than spherical.
Yeah, let's go back to Mark in Utah. You had asked him a question, Johnson, and he didn't have a chance to really get a full answer out. What was the question? Could you recap the question, Johnson, just for people listening?
2 sticks at a great distance, like a couple, mile, even that's actually not even that much, but several miles, let's say, both 90 degrees to the surface of the planet, so they're sticking straight up. Mm-hmm. And why are their shadows different lengths and different angles at the same time?
Yep, this is actually the Eratosthenes experiment that happened in 296 AD, I think.
Sure, but it's also repeatable.
This experiment, this experiment this was the experiment he used to calculate the curvature of the Earth. Now, according to what he said that if the Earth is spherical, that the Earth is so many. I can't remember exactly what he said. The number was inaccurate, but he said that the Earth was so many miles across if the Earth was curved. But if the Earth is flat, then the sun itself is only 3,120 miles in the sky.
Well, it really doesn't have anything to do with that. It's just the fact that you have a single point of light that's generating on 2 different objects at 2 different angles because the reason why is they're sticking out at different angles because they're not actually straight up and down. They're straight up and down with relation to a center point in the middle of a sphere. And so when the light hits they're hitting it at different angles because the light is a single point that's not on the sphere. Mm-hmm. It's really obvious.
He's making it he actually had that in the assumptions that he put in, and I've actually studied this experiment that he did, and this is the experiment that everybody uses to say, hey, this is what the size of the Earth is. But he had made the assumption. The first assumption was that the Earth is round. So that's an assumption you have.
Well, it's not really how science works. You don't really start with an assumption, but okay.
Well, that's according to his notes and stuff like that. That was one assumption was that the Earth was round, and that the sun's rays were hitting parallel to the Earth, because being so far away, the sun's rays would essentially, for all points of the Earth, be pretty much parallel, right?
If the Earth was flat, yeah.
Well, no. If the Earth was round and the sun was 93 million miles away, the rays that are coming from the sun would all hit the Earth at essentially a parallel.
Sure, okay.
All be fairly parallel to each other.
So is it the claim of the flat earthers that the sun is not 93 million miles away as well?
Yeah, the claim of the flat earthers is that the sun is 3,120 miles away and it is 32 miles wide.
How can you even say that with a straight face, dude?
To be honest, I got into it. I watched a speech by Obama. Now I'm a libertarian. I'm an anarchist, anarcho-capitalist. Mm-hmm. I would consider myself to be a fairly well-reasoned guy. I believe in the non-aggression principle. I saw a speech by Obama in which he was saying that people who think that the economy is bad might as well be like part of the Flat Earth Society. And I was like, Flat Earth Society? So I looked into the Flat Earth Society. And I saw a video on one of the
and you're just YouTube, easily duped? I mean, come on, dude.
No,
you're obviously trolling, right? You couldn't possibly believe this ridiculous nonsense that everyone who's ever been involved in studying the Earth, every scientist, every astronaut, every physicist, everybody who has launched a rocket.
Everyone with a camera in a plane.
Yeah, right.
That's taking a picture of the curvature of the Earth.
Speaking of cameras in a plane and curvature of the Earth, all the photos that show a curvature, like particularly the Red Bull, the Red Bull, the guy who jumped Felix Baumgartner, Actually, if you look at it, those were taken using GoPro cameras. And yes, there is a curvature of the Earth, but it's taken using
not every picture that's taken from a plane that shows the curvature of the Earth is taken from a GoPro.
There were pictures taken years ago, decades ago, where GoPro cameras did not even exist, sir.
But I know what you're talking about.
I'm talking. Okay,
you're talking about spherical aberration.
It's a fisheye lens, and it creates a spherical aberration. There's actually a man named Auguste Piccard. Back in 1931, he went in a balloon 10 miles up in the sky. Like, he shattered all the records. He took atmospheric samples. He said the air up there was really blue. And when he came back down to Earth,
the air up there was really blue. Thank you for the call tonight. Wow,
like,
it just got really
I'll
dumb.
My tea, Earl Grey. My name is Auguste Piccard.
The air is colored all the way up here.
You don't need to be in a plane or in a balloon to see the curvature of the Earth. You can see it with your own eyes. If you go to the top of not even a hugely high mountain, you can see the slight curvature of the Earth. And the higher you get, the more pronounced it becomes.
They're all in on the conspiracy. Everyone who's ever climbed a mountain, everyone who's ever taken a plane flight.
I was waiting for him to claim that what people were seeing was the edge of the flat Earth. Like, that was the curve? Like, it's the Earth is a disc?
That's probably what I
was waiting for that claim, and then I was going to be like, but the edge of the Earth has different locations from every picture that's taken from different spots around the globe.
It's the dumbest crap.
Yeah,
why don't one of these flat Earth people, fill up an airplane gas tank and just start flying, and then presumably they'll reach the edge at some point, right? It's just ridiculous, and it's hard to believe that anybody as educated sounding as that individual could possibly believe this.
Right.
Toll-free number tonight, 855-450-FREE. Let's talk to William. He's in Nevada, listening to K-Talks. Hello, William.
Yes, gentlemen.
Hey there.
I know it's a ridiculous argument.
Hello? Uh-oh.
It's a global conspiracy. They're cutting him off.
I think we just lost that cell phone signal. We're going to put William on hold. We'll see if we can get him back. Meanwhile, Vernon is in Louisiana. Vernon, you're on Free Talk Live.
One of the funniest promos you all have is called Kook Trails, and it's some guy that called in long ago about the chemtrails. And I was just curious, what are chemtrails? And I'm so new to this. That's my first question. And my second question is, why are you all carried on GCN, this nutty network of conspiracy theorist shows, when y'all are much more legitimate than all the other shows on that one network? And I'll take my answer off here.
All right. Thank you for the call, Vernon.
Chemtrails are made from barium and aluminum.
Chemtrails are a ridiculous conspiracy theory that there's not really any evidence for. Now, there are some examples of government spraying things out of planes.
Yeah,
Remember when we lived in Florida, there was malathion that was sprayed, and that you could go out of
mosquitoes.
Allegedly. I don't know.
It was mind control.
Well, I don't trust the government to spray chemicals. I don't think that's a good idea if they're actually doing it. But most of the time when someone thinks they've seen chemtrails, they've just seen contrails, and there's scientific explanations for what that is. You can read about it on the internet.
People don't seem to realize that if you move an object through the air fast enough, and you can actually do this yourself, that it will create steam. I mean, essentially, and you can actually do it with a long stick. If you are able to whip that stick fast enough, and it makes a heck of a noise, you can actually make a trail in the air that'll make like steam.
Wow,
you have to really wing it.
Break the speed of sound or something like that.
Yeah, it's when you get that like. When you're like whipping something around, you have to really whip it, and you can get a little. Trail of steam, but it has to be like on the verge. You've got to be like where it's like really, really humid out, and like you're already in almost fog conditions.
So, to the second question, why are we on the Genesis Communications Network that does have a number of conspiracy theory friendly shows on it? We've been on Genesis Communications Network since 2004. This is our 12th year with GCN. They took a chance on Free Talk Live as a show that was different from what they normally offered their listeners, and we quickly became their number one most carried show on radio stations. So GCN is the network that believed in Free Talk Live. And while some of their advertisers are a little questionable sometimes, the network has always been professional. And radio advertisers are in a lot of cases questionable. I mean, there's a lot of radio networks that have questionable ads on them.
Right.
The only question the radio network wants to know is, does the check clear?
Right.
And so that's the issue there. But the question is, there's all these crazy conspiracy shows. Well, actually, GCN, since adding Free Talk Live, has gone more in a more mainstream direction, for lack of a better term. They added Dr. Joy Brown. She's one of the more renowned names in the business. She's sort of the alternative to Dr. Laura, if you will.
Okay.
The more sane alternative to Dr. Laura. So she's a big name in the radio business. She headed up the Talkers New Media Seminar this year that we went to. She was like the MC of that event. So she's on Genesis now, and there's a number of other shows that are not insane that are on the Genesis Communications Network. So they've actually come a long way. They got Doug Steffen as well. 855-450 free. You can join us in Hour 3 coming up.
For Bitcoin to be ubiquitous, people need to use it. For people to use it, they must have it. How can we get Bitcoin into more hands? Well, tipping might be a great way. What if you could include a bonus Bitcoin tip along with your regular tip to a server? What if that Bitcoin returned to you if unclaimed after 30 days? An attractive business card-sized Bitcoin tip that is easily claimed, gives instructions on wallets, spending, and returns to the user if unused? Tip.freetalklive.com. Tip.freetalklive.com.
Are you searching for your soulmate? Someone you can trust, who will never betray you? Or cooperate with the NSA? Stop searching. With EasyDNS, you found a keeper. EasyDNS does it all. Domain names, web hosting, and managed WordPress hosting. EasyDNS stands up for your internet freedom. And with servers in Canada, they do not cooperate with the NSA. Go to EasyDNS.com. You'll love their services or get a full refund. They guarantee it. And they accept Bitcoin. That's EasyDNS.com.
So you've signed the Shire Society Declaration and are planning your move to New Hampshire to be around more liberty-oriented people. Next, sign up for the Shire Society Forum at forum.shiresociety.com. There are a bunch of people there who are already in the Shire, and they want to meet you. If you're already in the Shire physically, you should also come by the forums. Remember, not everyone uses Facebook. New people are signing up for the Shire Society Forum every month, so drop in and say hello at forum.shiresociety.com. If you want to know the latest about Free Talk Live before we go on the air, all you need to decide is how you want it delivered. It's your choice. Visit news.freetalklive.com. You can get emailed announcements and participate in contests via our email updates list. Plus, we have a Twitter account that you can follow and a Facebook page where you can become a fan. So visit news.freetalklive.com to get news about Free Talk Live as soon as it's announced and the way you want it delivered at news.freetalklive.com. That's news.freetalklive.com.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 3 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
From Keene in the Shire, the Liberty Media capital of the world, this is Daryl W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for Tuesday, June 28th, 2016. Silver is trading at $17.76 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,315 per ounce. And according to BitcoinAverage.com, the average price of Bitcoin is $649. Antiwar.com reports Pentagon officials have confirmed the start of an investigation into a Saturday airstrike in Afghanistan, which reportedly killed not just the Taliban commander it targeted, but also 6 hostages who were held in Taliban custody. The Pentagon has confirmed the strike took place near the city of Kunduz, one of a handful of strikes launched since the Obama administration loosened the rules of engagement to allow an escalation in direct U.S. involvement in the Afghan war. Taliban spokesman Zabiullah Mujahid confirmed the strike killed Mullah Janat Gul Osmani and 4 other fighters, along with 6 captured Afghan soldiers who were being held in the same area. The Afghan police denied the reports, claiming the airstrike killed Mullah Janat and 5 other Taliban, and that the Taliban has killed the soldiers afterward out of spite, and then tried to blame the U.S. for it. The investigation, however, suggests that the Taliban's narrative is potentially correct, though whether we ever get the results of that investigation publicly, as always, remains to be seen. For nearly 40 years, Roberts & Roberts Brokerage has been a trusted source for buying and selling precious metals like gold and silver. They also take Bitcoin for precious metal purchases and have permanently removed the minimum purchase amount for all orders paid in the digital currency. Call Roberts & Roberts today for knowledgeable advice on buying and selling precious metals and a forward-thinking approach to new technologies. 800-874-9760 or visit online at rrbi.co. UPI reports Airbnb Incorporated is suing its home city of San Francisco to try and block a new rental law that it claims would violate federal protection for internet companies. The new ordinance, which the city's Board of Supervisors passed in a 10-0 vote earlier this month, requires hosts for companies like Airbnb, VRBO, and HomeAway to register with the city or be fined $1,000 for each host who violates the law through one of the companies. Airbnb is challenging the regulation and filing to have a preliminary injunction placed on the ordinance, which will take effect later this month. Legislators passed the law trying to combat the city's housing crisis, but Airbnb contends the regulation violates the Communications Decency Act. Airbnb said on their blog, "This legislation ignores the reality that the system is not working, and this new approach will harm thousands of everyday San Francisco residents who depend on Airbnb. It also violates the law. This is an unprecedented step for Airbnb and one we do not take lightly, but we believe it's the best way to protect our community of host and guest." The battle is just the latest in a bad month for Airbnb and other short-term rental companies, with new regulations being passed in New York City and Chicago. Los Angeles is close to passing similar regulations. You can support FPP Radio by shopping online. Whether you're looking for precious metals, bitcoins, or books, you'll find that and more at shop.fppradio.com. Every purchase you make from one of my affiliates, like Namecheap and Amazon, at shop.fppradio.com helps fund FPP Radio. Or you can shop directly from FPP with Bitcoin in the Bitcoin store. That's shop.fppradio.com. Reuters reports the U.S. Supreme Court on Monday struck down a Texas abortion law imposing strict regulations on doctors and facilities in the strongest endorsement of abortion rights in America in more than 2 decades. The 5-3 ruling held that the Republican-backed 2013 Texas law placed an undue burden on women exercising their right under the U.S. Constitution to end a pregnancy, established in the court's landmark 1973 Roe v. Wade decision. The abortion providers who challenged the law said it was medically unnecessary and specifically intended to shut down clinics. Texas officials said it was intended to protect women's health. The ruling means similar laws in other states are probably unconstitutional and could put in jeopardy other types of abortion restrictions enacted in various conservative states. Jennifer Dalvin, a lawyer for the American Civil Liberties Union, said the decision should send a loud signal to politicians that they can no longer hide behind sham rationales to shut down clinics and prevent a woman who has decided to end a pregnancy from getting the care she needs. Writing for the court, Liberal Justice Stephen Breyer said, "We conclude that neither of these provisions offer medical benefits sufficient to justify the burdens upon access that each imposes." This has been FPP Radio News, online at fppradio.com.
This is the Onion Week in Review. Thousands of outraged meth addicts urged the federal government this week to address the nation's growing spider epidemic. During a marathon 72-hour meeting under the Roosevelt Bridge Monday, tweakers from across the nation drafted a 45,000-word proposal to kill all the acid-shooting spiders before they develop the powers of mind control or, God forbid, flight.
We can't grow these spiders any longer. The government has to... There's a spider there!
The addicts have agreed that the best temporary solution would be for the government to issue them large quantities of methamphetamine and steel wool. A local daddy was put in his bye-bye box Tuesday so that he could go on a long vacation with the birds and clouds in the sky. The daddy, who was once tall and strong and liked going to the hospital to play with their fun machines, was reportedly put in the bye-bye box after weeks of being sleepy all the time and never finishing his din-din. Family had come in from all over to watch daddy get dropped inside a cool underground fort full of dirt and sand, where he'll be tonight instead of being home to play Chutes and Ladders.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
Free Talk Live, launching into the third hour of the program. You can join us here. The toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. Are we becoming Pavlov's dogs? Asks the Psychology Today blog. We'll talk about that coming up here in moments. But first, we're into psychological distance. This is a discussion you started having in the last hour, Johnson, with 10 examples of I guess using the concept of psychological distance, which my basic understanding of what you've explained is sort of putting yourself outside of yourself.
Reframing, putting yourself outside of yourself.
In order to
distantly.
sort of look back upon yourself and figure out what you're doing.
Either imagining yourself as a different person, imagining yourself in a distant time frame.
And this can help
somehow
you.
distancing yourself from
This
yourself.
can help you kind of be a better person or something?
Do all sorts of special powers.
So where are we at in this list of 10 examples?
Becoming more persuasive, number 3.
Okay.
So when people are considering a purchase, they are more persuaded when the framing is psychologically distant. Finding from 2 experimental studies consistently show that consumers in a pre-decisional mindset, i.e., consumers still deliberating on an unresolved decision, are more likely to be persuaded by messages with psychologically distant orientation, which emphasize the future or target a distant other. So I guess if they're selling you something based on oh, you're going to really be happy about this in the future, that kind of sales situation. So what's interesting about
I'd love to hear more specific examples. I don't know if they provide that.
They don't here.
But how would you pitch me a car based on the idea of psychological distance?
Well, if you think about basically most ads almost kind of put some sort of future thought about how you're going to be happy about this, or a lot of ads are weight loss. It's all framed in the future. A lot of stuff is framed in the future. It's not really framed in the present or the past. A lot of these ads are framed in a way that's this is how you'll be, sort of thing, right?
Sure. Of course, a sales pitch that is successful focuses on how the individual is going to benefit from having that thing, which they do not have now, but the company would like them to have in the future.
Right.
So
it's just if you want to be more persuasive, I guess, is you want to couch your, discussion about whatever you're trying to persuade the person of as you want to distance it psychologically, I guess.
All right.
It's sort of an interesting idea. I would have thought that it would be also, I actually misread this or misinterpreted it in my mind to think that actually you could probably make yourself more immune to this effect by, when making a decision, psychologically distancing yourself. So really sort of not being oh, I'm going to really enjoy this. Let's say you're going to buy a car, right? Instead of thinking oh, this car is great, I'd love to drive this car right now. You're thinking about it now. Put yourself in the future. How will I be 10 years from now if I bought this car? What's my money situation? Where am I going to be? If you distance yourself in that fashion, you're going to think about a whole slew of other things that are going to help prevent you from probably being too easily persuaded.
Okay.
So it's sort of like both sides of the coin of persuasion. If you distance yourself, or if you distance the other person in a way that where you're controlling the narrative,
all right,
you can be more persuasive.
Number
or
4.
Be less persuaded. So number 4 is you can gain emotional self-control. So it's probably talking a little bit about what I was just saying about the being less persuaded. Psychological distance can give us emotional distance. And then they quote again, negative scenes tend to be less negative and less emotionally arousing when imagined moving away, and the opposite when imagined moving toward the observer. If you are a very emotional person, psychological distance can be a useful technique to control your emotions.
Well, as far as negative scenes, isn't it true that humans, some of their response to trauma, like actual violence or something, an abusive husband or wife or something like that, that they would put themselves out of that into some other mental place to literally take themselves away from it, even though they're still suffering whatever the violence is. They're mentally going somewhere else.
Right.
And that doesn't, avoid
gain control over their situation.
It doesn't avoid a broken arm or battered face.
But this is about emotional self-control. So, it would definitely help with controlling your emotions in that situation.
And I don't think that's generally done on purpose. It's just one of the responses.
Well, I'm sure for some people it is on purpose. Some people maybe they can't even control it. They don't think of doing that. But it says a complementary matching psychological distance to one's habitual perspective generally leads to better emotion regulation. Specifically, individuals with high avoidant attachment who habitually distance themselves from their experiences may benefit from psychological immersion. So to explain what
psychological immersion versus psychological distance.
Right. So
is psychological immersion the opposite of psychological distance? Where
I guess, I mean, essentially, deeply thinking about a subject, but they're saying there are people who avoid sort of attachment and who constantly distance themselves from
like a Buddhist
experiences. Sure, yeah, I guess. So they really like meditation. They're going to be the type of person that meditates. And then they say, well, individuals with high anxious attachment who habitually immerse themselves in their experiences may benefit from psychological distancing.
Mm-hmm.
So, people who have a lot of anxiety are going to be the type that are going to be more benefit by maybe like take yourself out of the situation as opposed to.
I would be interested in hearing from somebody who has, experience with this, and especially somebody who has anxiety, because I know people who have anxiety. Some people I care about have anxiety, and it seems to be very debilitating for the individual in question, to where once they get into this anxious phase or whatever you call it, you just basically have to ride it out. That there's not really any. This is my observation from the outside, and so I can't say I'm intimately familiar with this, but that they seem to just kind of have to ride it out and just get through through this. Is there a way to take steps towards psychologically distancing oneself from a situation that causes anxiety that can lessen the anxiety instantly in that moment? Is that a practice,
maybe.
Sort of a meditation
I don't know.
practice?
I couldn't answer that one because I can tell you this. I mean, I've never been diagnosed with any kind of anxiety, but I can guarantee you that I've been developing an anxiety disorder over the past several years. I'm pretty sure. I had my computer break on me, and
the
it's
one
got
with the water cooling
system, and it's just it was just extremely stressful, and I finally worked up, after months, the nerve to get in and like work on it again.
Yeah.
Because it's just stressful. It's not like I'm afraid to do it or, whatever. Like if it breaks, I'm just buy a new one. I'll have to do that. I don't really want to do that. It's kind of horrible, but, it's just so stressful and nerve wracking. So, I finally got it, and I went in, and there was more broken parts, and I had to order stuff to replace it. The parts
get
just
a new pump, get some new tubing.
Just got all those parts in, and it's just like, I got to do this again, and go back in and try it again. And it's just
clear out a few hours.
It's been like 9 months, since that's happened. I mean, I've almost been without my computer for that computer.
So
anyway,
where does the anxiety come in?
It's just when I go to start to do it, I can feel like just stress, like, heart rate up and not, it's just an unpleasant experience that I just avoid, and it's just.
So you've been putting it off?
I've just continually been putting it off. Yeah.
So you have all the parts right now?
Now I do, and I haven't been putting it off, but I put off ordering the parts. Now that I've ordered the parts, I'll get it done,
But you still haven't done it. You have the parts now.
I just got the parts like.
Today?
Sunday, I think.
Okay.
And I just haven't had time.
All right.
And I don't have time tonight, obviously.
Yeah.
But
and so is it foreboding to you? Like, oh God, I don't want to do this.
Yes, absolutely.
Is that the same thing as anxiety? Where
I think it's it's a form of anxiety, being anxious about doing that.
Is it a fear of what might happen? Because odds are good. You'll be success at it.
Are the odds good? I don't know.
I mean, you put the tubes on the thing. You put it on the pump.
What if when the first time I ran the computer, the chip damaged itself from overheating?
Well,
here's where the anxiety comes in.
See, this is the difference.
My thought is, I've spent all this money, and to me, it's a foregone conclusion that I'm going to build this thing,
and it'll fail.
It'll be like, you wasted your money. Now buy a new computer, jerk.
Well, these are the risks of a hobby where where the hobby involves liquid
is my work machine
and electronics. There's a chance that something could go a higher chance that something could go wrong.
This is what you get when you want a gaming computer for your working machine.
Yeah. Toll-free number tonight, 855-450-FREE. I had a water-cooled computer once, and I just sort of went into it knowing that everything in this computer could fail and be damaged by liquid. And sure enough, at one point that did happen. This is Free Talk Live.
Every once in a while, you get information that's worth changing your life for. This is one such time. You can save up to and beyond 25% on all purchases at Amazon. You probably heard of Bitcoin and just not thought much about it. You certainly know that you can get competitive pricing at Amazon, but now you can get a 25% discount on nearly everything you need to live. I've just given you a huge raise, and all you have to do is claim it. You go to saveitpurse.com and open an account. Do this right now. Don't wait. Then you fund the account with Bitcoin. You can buy them through expresscoin.com with a check or money order. There are other ways to get Bitcoin, but that's fast, safe, and easy. This information is worth you changing the way you do things. Go to saveitpurse.com right now, get signed up, and cash in on the huge raise I'm offering you. 15 to 25% off of everything at Amazon through saveitpurse.com. It's saveatpurse.com.
Are you tired of commuting to a job that makes someone else rich, working harder than ever, but getting nowhere? Do you hate spending hundreds of dollars every week on daycare, having someone else raise your children? With our opportunities, you can start earning money as soon as next week. You get to be the boss, work from home, and live a happier life. At Be the Boss Network, you'll find hundreds of work-from-home opportunities that you can literally start today and be earning money as soon as next week. Go to freedom106.com and start earning money as soon as next week. You get to be the boss. Get out of the rat race. Work from home. Go to freedom106.com right now and change your life today. That's freedom, the number 106.com. Go to freedom106.com and start earning money as soon as next week. You be the boss. Go to freedom106.com.
So the protection of life, liberty, and property is what the Free State Project is all about. But it's an effort to move 20,000 people who understand.
It's about demonstrating to the entire country
that, yeah, we can have a free market, a truly free market. Making it just a freer, great place to live.
It's the world's largest voluntarist libertarian community, and it's only getting bigger.
That's amazing. To be able to move to a place where other people passionately believe in being free and independent.
What the Free State Project is managing to do, though, is to put their money where their mouth is. It's physically getting up across the country and saying, let's go someplace and let's demonstrate the power of these ideas. There's a lot of kind of philosophy that surrounds liberty. There's a lot of thinking about it and talking about it. But here in New Hampshire, people are doing it.
101 Reasons Liberty Lives in New Hampshire, a documentary by Free State Project Early Movers. Watch it free at 101reasonsfilm.com. 101reasonsfilm.com.
Here's a chance to do a little activism while you're cruising Facebook, Twitter, or Google+. Between the LOL cats, the recipes, the hot girls, and the inspirational sunrise memes, Free Talk Live's posts pass by your newsfeed. Like them, comment. It gives us more exposure. If you don't see our posts, click like at facebook.freetalklive.com and then hover over it to click Get Notifications. It's an easy way to spread the ideas of liberty a bit further. I know you're busy, but you can spare that 1/10 of a calorie it takes to click on something. facebook.freetalklive.com.
The new 4th edition of Healing Our World, The Compassion of Libertarianism, will take your understanding of liberty to a deeper level and has over 1,300 updated references, new cartoons, and a foreword by Dr. Ron Paul. With discounts for multiple book purchases, the 4th edition of Healing Our World is a great gift for the liberals, pragmatists, environmentalists, and Christians in your life who think libertarianism is cold-hearted. Get yours today at healing.freetalklive.com and use promo code FTL for a $5 discount.
If you enjoy LRN.FM, please contribute to your favorite shows via their websites and become an amplifier at amp.lrn.fm. That's amp.lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live, and you can take control of the airwaves. Toll free here, 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. We've got Skype. The Skype username is lrn.fm, and you can bring up anything that you want. Coming up, New Hampshire Hempfest, August 25th through the 28th. We're 2 months away from Hempfest, and it's going to be awesome. The tickets are discounted in the month of June, so you've got literally a couple days left to go and lock your tickets in if you want the discounted price. And all of the tickets are discounted, so VIP, regular tickets, and there's a bunch of different types of tickets that you can get for Hempfest. Go to nhhempfest.com and you can get your tickets there. By the way, Free Talk Live will be broadcasting live from Hempfest. It's happening at Rogers Campground. I don't know if you know that. That's the same place where the Porcupine Freedom Festival happened or has happened for a number of years. So I'm excited to be going back to Rogers Campground in 2 months at nhhempfest.com. And again, if you are a VIP ticket holder, you'll be able to see Free Talk Live broadcast live. The reason why that restriction is in place is because they're expecting 3,000 people, at this event. If you've been to a Porcupine Freedom Festival, you know they pretty much maxed out at about 1,500 people a couple of years ago, and it's kind of been going down from there, is my understanding. Some people said PorcFest was at like half capacity at this year's event. Others are claiming they had the same amount of people this year as they did last year. So who knows what the truth is about PorcFest. But the truth about HempFest is it's going to rock. It's basically a music festival. This is not a libertarian speech fest at all. This is a party. This is music for 4 straight days, Thursday through Sunday, August 25th through the 28th. You can get a full list of bands at nhempfest.com. And again, we'll look forward to seeing you there because we're broadcasting live. As we continue with your calls and your thoughts, Dave, listening in New Hampshire. We'll get back to psychological distance here in moments. Dave, you're on Free Talk Live with Ian and Johnson.
As of yesterday, you guys had not yet talked about this, but tell me if I'm repeating something you've already talked about tonight. I had 2 liberty activist deaths to report in New Hampshire.
Okay. Go for it.
You may already know Shim Kellogg, one of our state reps, who's a Free Stater, I believe.
Yep.
Died about a week ago of cancer. These are both young people. These are not old folks.
Yeah, Shim was 34, I believe.
Yeah.
A real loss. I mean, a really talented guy. Shem, I got the chance to meet him on a number of occasions, and was really impressed with the effort that he put into growing the Free State Project. And he and his wife Carla went around to various different events, like all the Ron Paul events and different conferences, Libertarian Party conferences, things like that. And they just did balls to the wall recruiting for the Free State Project, literally signing up. I don't know if it was almost as many as Free Talk Live, but I believe they were second to Free Talk Live as far as recruiting people for the Free State Project. So just incredible activists, really did a lot of great work. And then, as you pointed out, he ended up becoming a state representative as a liberty-oriented state rep, which is something that happens here in New Hampshire. It doesn't really happen in other states. So the guy was a real doer and I would call him a super activist.
Yeah. The other death was, I guess, yesterday, or at least I heard about it, I think, yesterday. And he was a New Hampshire native, I guess, or he was already here before the Free State Project. I think he was an ally. But that's Mark Capuzzo in the Keene area, at least before I always knew of him sort of being. He may not have been there when he died. I think he was there when I knew him.
Yeah, he was still living here in Keene. In fact, we were seeing him regularly. He was hanging out over here at the Sanctuary for Love and Peace and the LRN studios. So a regular guest of the activist crew here, and he was involved in the 420 celebrations years ago. He's been a moderator online of the Keeniacs group on Facebook, and has just always been a real pleasure to have around, and had a great sense of humor. Another good guy. It's unfortunate, Dave, that as the liberty movement grows here in New Hampshire, we are inevitably going to see more people pass away. These aren't the first 2 activists who have died in the history of the liberty community's growth over the last 10 years here in New Hampshire. Some have died of natural causes. We had, of course, John Cannell die earlier this year, the founder of the Peaceful Assembly Church, of alleged smoke inhalation, although we're still waiting on the official report from that. At some point, it's not going to really be newsworthy anymore when one of us dies, because there will be so many thousands, tens of thousands of libertarians and voluntarists here. It's just going to become more of a regular occurrence, sadly.
Well, I mean, it still would be newsworthy, but it might be a little bit more like an obituary section of a broadcast or a newspaper. But from what I understand, Capuzzo, according to Rich Paul, I was trying to figure out exactly what happened, what people think got him, but it was supposedly some sort of bad drug that he consumed. And
well, that's the speculation right now. We don't know for sure. There hasn't been any kind of toxicology report that has come back, so we're not sure about that. But there is a possibility that he took something thinking that it was MDMA, but it turned out that it wasn't. So we don't know what it actually was. It may, maybe it was MDMA and he just happened to have a heart attack during that time frame. Maybe it had nothing to do with the drugs. Maybe it was just a coincidence, or maybe it was a bunk product that was being marketed as MDMA, and then that was what sparked whatever the issue was that caused his untimely demise. He was 32 years old. So yeah, all very unfortunate.
Rich is calling him a victim of the war on drugs, and he says it wasn't an overdose. It was.
No, it definitely wasn't an overdose. That much I know. And whether he was a victim of the war on drugs, I think speculatively that's likely the case. It's likely because New England's what's being sold as MDMA or Molly or ecstasy in New England is frequently not. It's frequently something else entirely. I remember years ago seeing a particular set of pills tested turned out to be DXM, which was a cough suppressant that was in pill form and being marketed as though it was MDMA, being sold at $20 a pill as though it was ecstasy, and it turned out it wasn't at all.
And dextromethorphan is very, very different from MDMA.
It's incredibly different. It's dissociative as opposed to an entheogen, or empathogen, rather. So, Dave, thank you for the call on that. Anything else you want to share?
No, that's it.
You've been getting a lot of coverage for NH Exit, by the way. There's been a lot of local news media coverage here in New Hampshire. Television stations, newspapers covering your protest that happened on Sunday night outside of a federal building in Manchester, protesting the federal government, demanding that New Hampshire leave the United States. Have you garnered any interviews since then?
No one one's contacted me since the demonstration. It's just what's happening is it's sort of just being copied and pasted from news organization to news organization. It does seem to be spreading fairly fast now.
Right. There hasn't been a lot of original reporting. I noticed that as well. So the Union Leader newspaper just basically copied a link from the Concord Monitor. They didn't do their own report. And the same thing with the WMUR report, the television report. They just basically copied a few paragraphs of the Concord Monitor story or boiled it down into a few paragraphs. But still, some coverage is better than no coverage. And this was your first event for NHExit.com. It's my understanding you've got a website in the works, and that'll hopefully be up and running by this weekend?
The real a decent placeholder website is now up and running.
Okay, cool. When I went earlier, it was just a forum thread, so I'm glad to hear that things are moving in the right direction.
It's drab, but not embarrassing.
Keep us in the loop as NH Exit develops. Hopefully we can beat Texas to the punch. Dave Ridley from RidleyReport.com, thanks for the call tonight. 855-450, free. More on Psychological Distance coming up.
Worried about lead, fluoride, and other contaminants in your drinking water? Get a ProPure with the Pro 1G 2.0 cleanable reusable filter and remove up to 200 contaminants. Drink water the way nature meant it to be. Clean, crisp, and refreshing. See the complete line of ProPure products, including the new ProMax shower filter. There's a ProPure for you. Visit your authorized ProPure dealer for details or ProPureUSA.com. That's ProPureUSA.com.
So you've got to take a state construction license exam or certification. Can't decide on what books or what chapters to study? Discover right now how you can eliminate unnecessary books and wasted study time. At contractorexam.com, our study materials zero in on state-required test topics in an effective, multiple-choice format. So whether you're a plumber, electrician, general contractor, or other construction-related trade, contractorexam.com will help get you prepared. Visit us at www.contractorexam.com today.
If you're looking for work, the person you are applying to may be even more nervous than you are. And the way things are now, your references have never been more important. Here are 3 tips. First, know that employers are checking. Every hire is under the microscope these days. Second, they won't just be checking references you provide. Figure that all of your ex-employers will get a call and be asked, would you hire him or her again? Third, assume you will be Googled. So before you apply, remove all those party animal photos from your Facebook page. Even if you're not in the job market, effective communication skills have never been more important, with money and attention so scarce now. For more tips for job seekers and getting better results in all your day-to-day communication, hit survivalspeech.com. I'm Holland Cook.
Cell 411 is a free app for Android and iOS that replaces government-controlled 911. Cell 411 allows you to preset a group of friends or private organizations to show up at any emergency. Cell 411 is a nightmare for the state because it proves their so-called services aren't needed. Cell 411 has had thousands of installs, and of course it's covered by the BIPCOT no government license. Cell 411 because your friends won't shoot you when you're in trouble. Without the government, who would build the emergency services? You and Cell 411. Get it today at getcell411.com.
So you've heard all 3 hours of the latest episode of Free Talk Live, and you're still hungry for liberty-oriented audio content? Did you know that we have another 24/7 audio stream at LRN.FM? The Liberty Radio Network airs the latest episodes of some of the best liberty-oriented podcasts on the internet around the clock. In addition to recorded content, you'll also hear live shows like Free Talk Live, originating from our Keene, New Hampshire studio. So listen anytime at LRN.FM. That's LRN.FM.
Free Talk Live.
Yeah, then what are you going to do about it? Instead of sitting on a microphone, what are you going to do about it?
I've stopped paying income tax. My partner spent 60 days in jail for standing in the way of a police car that was taking somebody to jail that he didn't believe should be taken to jail.
So I've done cop blocking, I've done outreach, I've done all kinds of stuff. Do you need more? I've run for political office, I've gone to the State House and testified many times, and I also do civil disobedience. What else can I do?
You know, it's like it's pathetic, really. I mean, it's
What's
bad.
pathetic, sir? What's pathetic?
You are. The two of you are.
How's that exactly?
The two of you are, because you're pathetic. You just sit there and rail about stuff that you don't do a thing about.
What are you doing, Danny? Tell me something I could do that's not pathetic.
I'm not hosting a show. I'm not hosting a show. I'm not the one that comes.
So you have no ideas. You have nothing original.
He's got microphone
and
in
now you're going bye-bye.
Free Talk Live, 7 nights a week from 7 to 10 Eastern, live on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM. You're listening to the best liberty-oriented audio streamed around the clock, on the air, and online. This is the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
It is Free Talk Live. Join us toll-free here, 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. More about psychological distance, which is an interesting concept that, Johnson, you've introduced us to tonight here. The idea of sort of taking yourself outside of yourself in order to better assess a situation, or whether or not you should buy something, your feelings, how you're interacting with other people. That's my basic understanding of this. But we're continuing with 10 examples of psychological distance applied, if you will, right?
Yep, applied, yep. And how they could possibly be applied. This one's a weird one, too.
Where are we at? Number 5?
Number 5. Beware the illusion of explanatory depth. Not all of the effects of thinking abstractly are positive. One of the dangers of abstract thinking is that it leads us to think we understand something better than we do. This is called the illusion of explanatory depth. Many people know vaguely that an earthquake occurs because two geological plates collide and move relative to one another. But again, they know little about the mechanism that initially produces these collisions. Nonetheless, people believe they understand these concepts quite deeply and are surprised by the shallowness of their own explanations when prompted to describe the concepts thoroughly.
All right.
Although folk wisdom suggests that we often fail to see the forest for the trees, sometimes greater concern is what we fail to see the trees for the forest. So that's just sort of an interesting thing.
That's
is if you're distancing, how distance can work. Number 6 is be true to yourself. Psychological distance can make us less susceptible to social influence, as it can help to guide action at a distance by consistently reflecting a person's core values and ideals, which are likely to be shared within important relationships or groups. In other words, when we think abstractly or with psychological distance, we are truer to ourselves. So, in other words, if you're taking yourself and looking at yourself at a distance, like a fly on the wall, or from, a future perspective, or, from your future self, thinking about, if I were my future self, what would I want? You're going to be more likely to consider your overall goals and morals and perspective than you would if you were just being reactionary.
Okay.
So like because you're really thinking about something as opposed to just reacting to a particular situation and acting on instinct or acting on rash choices.
Well, yeah, I do hear a lot. It's interesting, the parallels between sort of the New Age viewpoint and some of the science here.
Sure.
That the idea
New Age stuff is all just made up, and so it's not like, it's a lot of New Age stuff is often stolen from psychology and stolen from actual science.
Yeah,
so
whatever. However you want to explain it, they're explaining similar concepts for different audiences.
Sure.
And so
if it helps people to understand it, great.
Yeah. So anyway, we'll go on with the.
Go ahead and say what you're going to say. What's the parallel?
I forgot.
Sorry, I just knocked it out of your head. Well, maybe I could stand to learn from number 7, which is to be more polite. People tend to be more polite when they're thinking abstractly. 8 studies showed that politeness is associated with a high level construal temporal distance and spatial distance. So again, if people are putting themselves outside of themselves, by construct or by time or by space, however they're taking themselves out, that they, again, if they're perceiving themselves in a more moral fashion, in a more goal-oriented fashion or whatever, because of distancing themselves and being truer to themselves, they'll also probably be more polite.
Sure.
Because it's not that anonymity. It's almost like there's another person, but it's yourself. It's probably
it's
probably an effect that a lot of people get. A lot of people are probably doing this instinctually when they are judging themselves as their own god, because religious people are doing that, whether or not they want to admit it or not. When you are perceiving yourself as what, the watchful eye of God, that's actually you.
That's you.
That's you that's judging yourself from outside yourself.
Well, that's kind of part of the pantheistic view there, the idea that you are God.
Right. Well, it's also the idea of all Christians who don't actually necessarily know that they're their own God, but they are. So number 8 would be fire your creativity. People often recommend physical separation from creative impasses by taking a break. But psychological distance can be just as useful. Participants in one study who were primed to think about the source of a task as distant solved twice as many insight problems as those primed with a proximity to the task.
Meaning if your boss is half a world away, you're going to solve the problem faster than if he's in the same room?
I don't think it has to do with necessarily the boss. Well, the source of a task. Wow, I wish they were. There is a link here, but I'm not going to go through to it. But I kind of wish that they had explained this a little bit better.
Yeah, I do find more. I think this list would be better with some specific examples.
I'm surprised. I'm actually just kind of shocked that they aren't there, because normally these articles are pretty good about providing that kind of stuff, but this one is a little bit lacking.
I don't disagree with the concept. I mean, I think that the concept is fine.
Right.
Psychological distance.
I mean, the source of a task is distant. I mean, that just seems so flexible. Not necessarily meaning a boss, but meaning, maybe, I don't know. I'm trying to come up with an example and having a hard time.
Well, certainly, I think if we are talking about a boss, having the boss looming over your shoulder is likely not going to get the job done quicker in a lot of cases.
Right. People recommend physical substitution and just taking a break. Like in art, when you take a break, you're like drawing something or whatever. Like you get up, walk away from it.
Take 15 minutes or whatever.
If you're
go for a walk.
If you're programming, if you're writing, sometimes it can just help any kind of creative process. You get up and walk away from it. And it sounds like that's what they're making the link to. But saying that if something is distant, like maybe you're thinking of the task itself as you're more removed from it rather than being in and involved in it. You're almost controlling it from a distance. I think that's what they're kind of saying.
I got you. So if you're literally walking away from your task and you take a walk outside, and you're physically distant from it, or
but
mentally
if you just
distant.
think of yourself as distant from it, that would work too.
Okay.
As opposed to thinking of like, it's like almost like you're just decreasing your
thinking of deadlines,
stress.
thinking of
exactly
the next step. Okay.
Yeah, deadlines would be another great example of if the deadline is distant, you might be more apt to just be okay. If you're
unless you're a procrastinator.
Unless I was going to say if you're actively working on it.
Yeah,
which is what they were. Improve your self-control.
What number is this?
9.
Okay.
Participants who had been encouraged to think in high-level abstract terms demonstrated greater self-control in enduring the discomfort of the hand grip in order to receive more accurate personality profiles. So they must have done something where like people are like really voraciously giving like a hard handshake or something like that, while trying to determine what the personality of the person.
Yeah, I wish we didn't have to speculate
with.
about that.
I know, it's really well. Then again, there's a link.
They link to a study.
There's a link to a study. So I'll give you the link to this so that if listeners look it up on their Facebook profile, they can read more.
All right.
But again, it's just sort of interesting. It sounds like that they, there's a hard handshake and we're trying to determine someone else's personality, and they're more accurate if they're thinking abstractly and putting a distance between themselves and the person who they're engaged with. And then the last, number 10, is trigger wise thoughts. This is interesting. Being wise means seeing the bigger picture. Abstract thinking and psychological distance can help you to do that. 2 experiments demonstrate that cueing people to reason about personally meaningful issues. Study number 1 is career prospects for the unemployed during an economic recession. And study number 2, anticipated societal changes associated with one's chosen candidate losing 2008 U.S. presidential election. And they consider them from a distance perspective. It enhances their wise reasoning, dialectism, intellectual humility, attitudes, cooperation related to attitude assimilation, and behavior. So again, if they detach themselves, people tend to get a bigger picture because they're not so involved in a particular looking the emotional to this. Oh my God, if my candidate loses, it's my candidate. If they think like, oh well, distance yourself from this. How are you really going to feel about this 10 years in 2018? How are you going to feel about this election?
Are things really going to change if candidate A wins versus candidate B? Look at the rest of history.
What if you were in Mexico right now? You're like just distancing themselves physically, like spatially. Different ways of doing that because maybe future might not necessarily be good for that one.
Maybe you've got an actual application here where you've used psychological distance, and you can give us a specific example. You're welcome to. Our toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. Meanwhile, you owned by your phone? We can talk about that, too. This is Free Talk Live.
If you're considering going back to school, ask yourself the following questions. Do you need the flexibility to take classes on your schedule? Do you have college credits you need transferred? Do you want to earn a quality degree from a world-renowned university? If you answered yes to any of these questions, Arizona State University is the perfect school for you. Arizona State University offers over 100 highly ranked degree programs 100% online. You'll earn the same degree as you would on campus, from wherever you are, on your schedule. Plus, ASU Online accepts most transfer credits. For information, call 1-800-958-5345. Learn for yourself why the Wall Street Journal ranks ASU 5th in the nation for producing the best qualified graduates, and why 90% of ASU grads are recruited within 90 days of graduation. Learn to grow, learn to succeed, and learn to thrive at Arizona State University. To learn more about ASU online degrees, call 1-800-958-5345. That's 1-800-958-5345.
America, what will it take for you to finally recognize that we're facing a major financial problem today? How high does our debt have to go? How far do stock prices have to fall? How many more times must Congress raise the debt ceiling? How many more trillions does the Fed need to print out of thin air? How much bigger must the wealth gap between rich and poor get? How much longer does the Fed need to manipulate interest rates? Wake up, America. The facts are simple. We can't afford our debts, and we can't stop printing or borrowing money. So, we're going to see a massive monetary crisis like nothing in history. Don't believe government officials or mainstream media who tell you everything's okay. Get the facts. Go online to www.defendmymoney3.com. Learn how to protect yourself. Go to www.defendmymoney3.com. That's defendmymoney3.com.
Hi, I'm Derek J. To me, an activist's calling is to actively work to advance a cause. The cause for which I work is personal freedom. I believe my life is best when I engage in voluntary interactions and self-government. I reject the idea that anyone else has a higher claim to my life or my body than I do. I see people who call themselves the government as a threat to my personal freedom. I realize you may feel differently, but my relationship with the people who call themselves the government is completely involuntary. If Starbucks used some of its money to drop bombs, I wouldn't shop there. So why would I support the American empire? The empire does not require my consent.
Derek J's Victimless Crime Spree. Watch it for free and order the Director's Cut DVD at victimlesscrimespree.com. That's victimlesscrimespree.com.
LRN.FM is proud to announce our official listening apps for Android and iOS devices. Now you can easily tune into our streams anywhere, anytime on your smartphone or tablet. Just visit apps.lrn.fm or search for LRN.FM in the Android or Apple app stores. Please download, rate us 5 stars, then share the link on your social media, and let your friends and family know how you're listening to LRN.FM. Download it now, free, at apps.lrn.fm.
For Bitcoin to be ubiquitous, people need to use it. For people to use it, they must have it. How can we get Bitcoin into more hands? Tipping. What if you could include a bonus Bitcoin tip along with your regular tip to a server? What if that Bitcoin tip returned to you if unclaimed after 30 days? An attractive business card Bitcoin tip that's easily claimed, gives instructions on wallets and spending, and returns to the tipper if unused. Tip.freetalklive.com. Tip.freetalklive.com.
While our satellite channel is free to listen to, it's not free for us. You can help us cover our satellite costs with the chip-in on the right side of the page at lrn.fm.
It's Free Talk Live. Join us toll-free here at 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. If you like Free Talk Live and you want to help support the show, then please become a Free Talk Live amplifier over at amp.freetalklive.com. The AMP program helps Free Talk Live get on more radio stations around the country, bring more internet listeners on board. We've got 170 stations right now. We could have twice that number. It's, there's hundreds more out there. We could do that, but we need more help from you. $5 a month is all it costs to join the AMP program. You can use any major credit card through PayPal or use Visa or MasterCard right there on the AMP program site. Just go to amp.freetalklive.com, amp.freetalklive.com.
I can imagine somebody out there in radio land might be too nervous to call a radio show. Like, they might just get too nervous about it, right? Well, if you're that type of person, what you should do is you should imagine yourself as a future version of yourself who has conquered this fear of calling the radio show. Then imagine that you are that person now, and then make the call.
That's persuasive, Johnson. Imagine yourself how you'll feel after you've hung up the phone, successfully having a conversation with us. It'll be exhilarating.
Like, you are that person. Like, you are this future version of yourself that has already done this. How would you perceive the call then?
That's, it's very new age, Johnson, without you realizing it. The toll-free number here is 855-450-FREE. Let's go to George in Toronto. You're on Free Talk Live. Hello, George.
Hey, how's it going today?
What's on your mind, George?
I'm really pissed off right now at retail experiences here where I'm at. I'm in Toronto, and I hate it here. You go to retail in the U.S. and people are so much friendlier. When something's out of the box, it's out of the box. Give me a discount. Don't be a cheap ass.
Well, wait. Don't you go into the store and say, I'm having a problem with this product, and they go, sorry.
Oh, sorry.
No,
sorry.
This guy thought he was, Perez Hilton, and he was, being condescending because I'm saying, hey, this guy promised me a discount if I buy this printer out of the box. It's out of the box. You don't have another one. I want that one. And he's like, I got to go talk to my manager. And he goes to get his manager. His manager couldn't even have the balls to come and talk to me. And, I'm never going back there again.
What store?
Staples. Don't go there.
So, wait a minute. So you're telling me there's a difference between shopping at Staples in Canada versus shopping at Staples in the United States, and that...
100% difference. Every time I go to Staples in the U.S., I go in there, and they're like, right away, how can I help you? I have questions. They're friendly. They answer. They don't know the answer. They go look for it. They believe in the customer experience. Here, nothing. No one here believes in it.
I don't understand. I mean, why is that?
Is it other stores, too, or is it just Staples?
It's other stores, too. It's not just Staples.
Okay, well, how long have you lived up there? Are you a native?
Am I Native American? No.
Are you a Native Canadian?
Native Canadian.
I'm dual citizen, Canadian and American.
But where did you grow up?
In both countries.
Oh, at the same time. How did
Well, not at the same time, but a little while here, a little while there,
Gotcha.
a little while here. A little
So you've been there. You've been to a lot of stores. You've had a lot of retail experiences. Now, I'm somebody who worked in retail. I worked at Big Kmart for a number of years when I was younger, and so I've got some experience as well. I mean, you're going to have a variety of quality of employees. You're going to have the grumpy, the angry employees. You're going to have the ones who do their jobs professionally and smile at every customer that comes in, and everything in between. What you're suggesting is that in Canada, the grumpy employees seem to be the dominant type. Is that what you're saying? You've never had – I mean, surely you've had a positive retail experience in Canada at some point.
Of course, but like the majority of the experiences aren't good. The majority of the experiences are like the one that just happened today, which I'm really pissed about. Then I went to go buy a blunt, and I just got to give a shout-out to Keon, you tweaker, you bitch-ass nigga.
All right, we can't have you saying that on the air. That makes me think that he was being facetious with the call. I mean, he's called before, and I forget, what. He's kind of a little bit of a troll, I think. I don't.
He knows about probably your no shout-outs rule.
Yeah, I hate shout-outs. No one knows who Keon is, except for Keon.
Keon from Canada, eh?
Yeah.
He's a real hoser.
So, but I mean, he does bring up a real issue, and that is that retail experiences can be kind of crappy sometimes, which is one of the reasons why a lot of people are buying online. Why would you go into a retail location where you're going to be maybe treated poorly by the employees there or ignored completely? Sometimes it's hard to even find an employee, depending if you go at nighttime to some of these stores. There's like one person working an entire back half of a store, and you need some customer service. Good luck if you finally do find the person. They don't know what the hell they're talking about. I mean, I was that guy in Kmart. I worked the electronics department, but half the time the home center didn't have anybody, so I needed to go help when somebody needed a question answered in home center. Like, look, dude, I can help you look for the whatever it is that you want me to help you look for, but I don't know anything about it.
Right.
I don't know anything.
But I wonder. I mean, it sounds like he's saying that there's a clear trend, but I wonder. I mean, now his call is kind of like
BS. He's full of it.
Out the window. It's a really good topic for a prank call, though.
Yeah, I think so.
I mean, it was a really good stuff. Like, is the retail experience in Canada harsher than it is in the United States?
Well, I would have loved, but I mean, before he started to say words you're not supposed to say on the radio, I would have loved to have had him answer the question of why he thinks that is the case. I mean, is it? I don't think it's
I don't even think we can consider it legitimate anymore. But I do have to say that was a really brilliant topic. Just as a prank call to suck people in. Like, I'm going to suck them in with this.
Yeah.
Canadians are harsher at retail. That's actually kind of creatively really good radio
topic. You could come up with some explanations for it. I mean, it's Canada. It's colder up there. They get what is it? The seasonal affective disorder?
Like the French, like American. Like if you're in the French section, like maybe they just don't like Americans as much.
Yeah, but this was Toronto, so that's not
Toronto.
No, it's not that.
Yeah.
It's not Quebec.
Yeah, not Quebec.
I've been to Toronto, actually.
Yeah.
Very nice international city.
I mean, every thing I've ever heard about Canadians is they're all super duper friendly.
They're
so
super nice.
Way more nice in retail, too.
Yeah, I got to say, I don't recall.
Hey, welcome to our store. Hey, come on in.
Yeah, I don't recall having a bad experience up there.
Complimentary beers and hockey sticks all around.
That didn't happen to me, but but
they didn't crack open like a nice.
No, I went to Walmart there too, so I had the direct comparison of a Walmart in the United States to a Walmart in Canada, and it looked like Walmart. It felt like Walmart. They're wearing the same blue smocks.
Company. I mean, but
well, what would that have anything to do with it? If what the caller's saying is true,
I guess if it's the customer service people, but you would think that there might be different.
Staples
rules.
is an American company too.
Well, yeah, I know, yeah, but he said it was all other. He said it was a bunch of other companies too. So I was just considering general.
Well, it's a ridiculous call.
Yeah,
I mean on its face. But we will.
They could be disconnected from the central corporate office, so oversight is lacking. I don't know. I'm just coming up with hypothetical reasons for this nonsense topic, which I think is a brilliant nonsense topic.
So, in
massive
other news,
points for that, because I mean, in actuality, if that were like a real story for Prep, it would have been a great story.
In other news, Johnson, did you ever get to play that game that you brought in here the other week?
I've only played it a little bit. I think I told you. It
must not be a good game.
No, it is a really good game. It's just I'm addicted to Minecraft, and I'm more.
Minecraft has kept you away from a brand new game that you spent $60 on.
Yep.
What was the game called again?
Mirror's Edge Catalyst.
Mirror's Edge Catalyst. It's one of these parkour games.
I'm more of a social gamer, so if there's a game where I can play with people, I'm gonna play that first.
Yeah.
And so the issue
But
is
Minecraft doesn't end, right?
Right, no, but I found a group of people to play with, so I'm gonna be more likely to play that unless they're not on, and then maybe I'll go play,
Then
Mirror's
you'll play
Edge
the
Catalyst.
single-player game.
Yeah, exactly. It's just I've been in a more of a creative mood rather than I want to just veg out and play an action game. I've just, when I'm not gaming, I'm actually getting things done, and
that's a good thing.
Yeah, I mean, so if I'm gonna game, I'm been just in the mood to veg out creatively and chat with people. So
I recently finished XCOM 2.
Oh, wow. Okay, cool.
The remade XCOM 2, because there was an XCOM 2 back in 1991, which was also a great game.
Right.
And XCOM, if you enjoy strategy, turn-based strategy games, this is a great game. I mean, they did a fantastic job, and they still hold all of the kind of the XCOM elements in place where they've always been for 2 decades.
Right.
So the XCOM 2 and the one prior to that, the more recent XCOMs, have been very much, I think, in touch with where they came from, and yet adding to that formula more for a modern style of gameplay. I understand that XCOM 2 was released only on PC. I don't know. I've heard rumors that it is coming to the game systems as well at some point. I don't see why it wouldn't come out for the game systems, but I believe it was only released on PC.
So, one thing that's interesting in the whole gaming computer world, it's kind of news, is recently NVIDIA has released this new graphics card or whatever that is ridiculous.
Well, there's always some new ridiculous graphics card.
No, this one is like a very large leap over their last model and over all the other models, and it's sort of like one of these things where this new graphics card is really, really good, and they released it in such a way that the pricing on it is not bad either.
What's it called?
I don't know. I just know it's the most recent model, so it's not that hard to look up.
I just can't recommend that anyone ever buy a brand new graphics card like that. They're so expensive.
Look at it. I'm telling you, it's actually, that's the thing about this, is that's what's crazy, is it's so powerful and it's actually
and affordable,
reasonable price range. Yeah.
Well, hey, there you go, some gaming info for you. We'll see you tomorrow night online. In the meantime, you can join us over at freetalklive.com. Recently, LRN.FM kicked off its 2016 satellite fundraiser. This year, we're hoping to expand our international free-to-air satellite coverage to include Europe, the Middle East, and North Africa. Our current satellite coverage includes North America, Central America, and Sub-Saharan Africa. This year, the Indiegogo-based fundraiser is going to be promoted via a Head Talker. It's a website that allows you to sign up to join in a social media blast to promote something. Sign up now at share.lrn.fm via your preferred social media, and then on Independence Day, July 4th, the Head Talker will post to your social media accounts about our fundraiser. We've set a goal of 200 people. Will you be one of them? Now, of course, you can go donate to the fundraiser right now at fund.lrn.fm. But even if you can't afford to help, you can definitely add your social media reach to the Head Talker. So please do. Go to share.lrn.fm. That's share.lrn.fm.
We've all heard about blockchain assets like Dogecoin, Ether, and Ripple. Bitcoin isn't the only player in the blockchain game any longer. And for those of us wondering how to get our hands on these digital assets, finally, there's a solution. Shapeshift.io allows you to buy and sell between your digital assets and Bitcoin instantly between your own digital wallets. I've used it with ease. Shapeshift.io. There's no account or email address needed. You send them the crypto you want to sell. They send back the crypto you want to buy. It's that easy. Shapeshift.io.
Free Talk Live has partnered with Amazon, the largest internet retailer. Imagine a department store category, and Amazon has it. Books, electronics, office products, furniture, jewelry, automotive, toys, clothing, sporting goods, and dozens of other categories. Now you can shop and support Free Talk Live by entering Amazon through our website. Go to shop.freetalklive.com, and Amazon will send us a portion of your purchase. You're going to do the shopping anyway, so remember to enter through our site at shop.freetalklive.com. That's shop.freetalklive.com.
Rebel Love Show is next, live after the news, here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
From Keene in the Shire, the Liberty Media capital of the world, this is Daryl W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for Tuesday, June 28th, 2016. Silver is trading at $17.76 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,315 per ounce. And according to BitcoinAverage.com, the average price of Bitcoin is $649. Antiwar.com reports Pentagon officials have confirmed the start of an investigation into a Saturday airstrike in Afghanistan, which reportedly killed not just the Taliban commander it targeted, but also 6 hostages who were held in Taliban custody. The Pentagon has confirmed the strike took place near the city of Kunduz, one of a handful of strikes launched since the Obama administration loosened the rules of engagement to allow an escalation in direct U.S. involvement in the Afghan war. Taliban spokesman Zabiullah Mujahid confirmed the strike killed Mullah Jannat Gul Osmani and 4 other fighters, along with 6 captured Afghan soldiers who were being held in the same area. The Afghan police denied the reports, claiming the airstrike killed Mullah Jannat and 5 other Taliban, and that the Taliban has killed the soldiers afterward out of spite, and then tried to blame the U.S. for it. The investigation, however, suggests that the Taliban's narrative is potentially correct, though whether we ever get the results of that investigation publicly, as always, remains to be seen. For nearly 40 years, Roberts & Roberts Brokerage has been a trusted source for buying and selling precious metals like gold and silver. They also take Bitcoin for precious metal purchases and have permanently removed the minimum purchase amount for all orders paid in the digital currency. Call Roberts & Roberts today for knowledgeable advice on buying and selling precious metals and a forward-thinking approach to new technologies. 800-874-9760 or visit online at rrbi.co. UPI reports Airbnb Incorporated is suing its home city of San Francisco to try and block